There it is. Sorry. There you go. I'm good. We're good now. Sorry about that. I had it muted when I was getting everything all loaded up. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, we're good. We're good now. I'm good. But anyways, thank you for joining tonight. Obviously, this is the fan stream, the Patreon stream. We'll see what happens. What's going to happen tonight? Just inviting some people on. Come on and chat for a little bit. It's always a lot of fun. And I know it says let's have a beer, and not quite beer. That's right. Doing the seltzer thing again, because why not? Because I'm being a little puss this weekend. But you know, I was like, do I want to get some beer today, or I just drink what's left over? All right, I'm gonna just keep with the seltzer. So cheers, guys. And like I said before, you know, I was muted so you didn't hear it, but I was just kind of saying like I was saying it is Memorial Day. It is Sunday, even though it feels like Saturday, but we must remember those who have sacrificed their lives for our freedom. So cheers to them. Cheers to all those. Hopefully, you know, if you have anybody who served that maybe lost their lives, you know, cheers to them. I've had family that have served, and my dad, of course, was in the Army for over 30 years, but you know, obviously luckily he never really he had to go to Afghanistan at one point, but luckily he was fine. And then of course my cousin also had a couple of tours, had some close calls, and he's lost, you know, he's definitely lost some people. And I've had friends too that have been there, but cheers to them, man. I mean, they fought for freedoms. I mean, even though sometimes, you know, it's like they get thrown into a situation that kind of can be shitty, but at the same time, you know, sometimes you just got to do that duty. So cheers to them. Good stuff, man. What were you saying, Jose? I saw something. What up, Dave? Yeah. Okay, get away. That's right, motherfucker. What happened over the weekend, guys? Well, the Dodgers and Giants played each other again. This time a 4-game series. And Giants won 3 out of the 4. So that's right. Close call today, though. I got a little nervous. Did get a little nervous. Another Pujols home run that almost, you know, that made it a run. It was 5-4. It was so close. But there you go. So needed that one. So 3 games. They take the series. Pretty much now I don't owe my dad any money, so that's good. God bless the troops, Stephanie. Yes, for sure. Late grandfather served. Good. Well, Javier. Well, cheers to him. Cheers to anybody. It's not an easy job. I mean, you know, it's really not. I mean, I had friends that went right into it, right into the military, right after high school, and saw some shit, man. I mean, one of my really good friends, he didn't come back the same, and it's crazy how that. But I mean, that's the job you take right there, and it's, you know, my dad always said, you know, if you want to, hey, if you don't know what you want to do, join the military. And it just never really was for me. But you know, you still gotta, you know, it was always an option. But anyways. I don't watch soccer. No, I'm not a big soccer guy. I'm baseball and our football, not you know, American football. That's what I am. I'm not really a soccer guy. I played soccer when I was a kid. That's about it. But you know, and but yeah, I just never really got into it. So, oh, you have a story? Well, I know, Eric, you're going to be joining. You're going to be joining tonight. So talk about it. That'd be good. Andrew just got an Oculus Quest 2, tested out Zack Snyder Justice League on Skybox VR. Awesome cinema app. Pretty close to, yeah, that's awesome. I do want to get an Oculus. My nephew got one, and he said it's amazing, you know, so, but at first I think I want to get a console. I want to get a gaming console first. Well, first, computer, I mean, right now, guys, I am shopping for a computer. And if you guys have any suggestions too, because I'm like, I had a computer in mind because I was just thinking about, you know, obviously you guys, you know, I've talked about my complaints about my computer that I've had for almost 6 years, that it's time for an update and it just slows down. I mean, sometimes it's flawless, but then sometimes it just lags up. It just gets locked up and I have some technical difficulties. Today has been a good day. And Adrian, yeah. When it comes to Macs, I like Macs when it comes to all this stuff, which is funny because I'm not an iPhone guy. I don't like iPhones. I'm all Android. But when it comes to computers, I'm all about Macs. And I was thinking about getting this certain Mac that had twice the memory, because I'm like thinking, all right, memory, because I want to start diving into some other things that's going to require all that. But then I was going, okay, well, let me just go brand spanking new, and I can, get a new Mac 2021 and then expand the memory. But then I went, well, maybe I should just not do that, and then look at some of these other computers that have even, more these desktops, these monsters that people use for gaming and stuff like that. And I'm kind of going, maybe I should go that route, so it's just, yeah, gaming PC, Jason. I'm almost thinking about going that route too. So pretty much this past week, I've been looking at my options. I even went to Best Buy to look at what they had there. They're very limited at Best Buy. I'm probably not going to go that route. But it's just funny because even stuff, yeah, it's not great for gaming. Yeah, but I'm not trying to be like a gamer. If I'm going to do gaming, I'm going to probably just get a console or something like that. So yeah, see, that's the thing, Philip. Yeah, I'm thinking about now just like dropping the iMac thing and just kind of going full on. Let's get a PC that's good quality, got really good, where I can not even, because I'm thinking 16 gigs of RAM, but now I'm thinking maybe I should go 32. And I know there's some that go up to 64, and I'm going, I'm probably gonna need that because there's things that I want to do with my videos. I want to get into After Effects again. I started playing around with After Effects a while ago. If you guys, there was a long time ago. I made a Jedi, a lightsaber video, and I did the whole fucking lightsaber thing. Turned out pretty good, with the sound effects, with the lightsaber effect, everything turned out very well. And and then I was toying with stuff again with After Effects, with something else that I was like looking into, and just watching videos of like just doing stuff like face swaps and just different things. I'm kind of going, you know what? I'm gonna like dive into some of this. So I might just yeah, like that's the thing. It's like Macs are good for editing, and everything like that. They've always been that. But look at what Philip's saying. He's got 32 gigabytes of RAM. Quanta core processor. It's all just about really what's in the hardware. I like Macs for how closed it is and how I don't know. I've gotten so used to the way that Apple does their system and everything like that. But at the same time, I'm just going, I need something that's not going to cost me $1 kajillion that has some good power, man. That's what I'm, that's the thing right there is just, I just want the power. So everyone I work with for graphic design use Macs. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just that's where I'm at right now. Where I'm just like, what do I like? I'm just going back and forth. I literally had a Mac in mind that I had in my cart, but then I went, well, let me start looking at some of these gaming consoles and that stuff because obviously, which is always creepy when it comes to when you're looking at stuff on your phone or whatever the hell. And thank you. Oh yeah, Jason, you just sent me your stuff. Cool. I'll look at that. I'll look at your photo in a bit there, Jason. Thank you. And all of a sudden I get some ads because, Google and everybody's always watching. They're always knowing what you're doing on your phone. And so I went, okay, well, maybe I should look into that because, man, some of these are, Macs are pretty pricey. They can get pretty pricey. And I'm looking over here at a PC that has more power and better power, better hardware within it that is actually cheaper. And I'm going, So there's just a lot of things. Ask Snyder his opinion. I think Snyder's an Apple guy. I think he's definitely an Apple guy. See, Jason also has 32 gigs of RAM. So like Macs have their pros, and those pros will carry you far. Yeah. If you're able to constantly upgrade, you're fine. Yeah, see, that's the thing. So I'm just shopping around right now. That's the thing. I do kind of want to upgrade the camera too, but I think the camera is going to be my last thing because, I can get fancy schmancy. I'm thinking about, obviously when I'm looking at other people's setups, they got some fancy schmancy stuff, Colbert, he's got a good camera. And Zach. anytime that he's put on his quality stuff. I mean, Jesus Christ. But cameras can also get very pricey. And it's funny because I was talking to Colbert about that, about cameras, and asking him what he had. I mean, it's almost like you either go, there's either inexpensive or super expensive. There's almost not like an in between, and we were kind of talking about that. Like, you could either get something that's pretty good. I mean, what I have right now is good. It's 1080, it works. It's definitely good. But at the same time, it's like, do I want something where I can actually do that, have that blurred background and, have that depth, and everything. And that's where you start getting into, wow, it gets pretty damn expensive. And then I'm still, I know I want to get a dream lens. There you go. That'd be pretty sweet. Get that dream lens. And I watched Army of the Dead again, today, actually this morning. It was like, I had company over, and, it was, it was a night of, a lot of fun and conversing. A lot of, things that were philosophizing. There's stuff that was talked about when it comes to, like, because the time loop stuff and just diving into multiverse and other things that were like in the conversations that were had, and then kind of going, well, the reason why I'm bringing this up is like, we got to watch Army of the Dead, and then we did, and obviously it was praised. And of course, I let it be known certain things of what was happening in the movie. This is what I love about showing movies and stuff where there's hidden things. I always want to gauge, like, anytime I'm showing it to somebody, are they going to spot it? Are they going to spot, like, the little things, like the UFOs at the beginning? And I even said, I'm like, all right, I'm going to put it on in like the first 40 seconds. See if you spot something that's weird that's happening. And when it happened, it was like, was there lightning? I'm like, not quite. So I rewound, and then I just kind of pointed it out. I'm like, look, oh, holy shit. And it's just like, it's always fun to do that. So yeah, no more dream lens, please. You're not a fan of the dream lens, Jose? Look at you. Dream lens is great. Anyways, all right. Start bringing in some of these guys in here. Let's see, where am I at here? All right. Get that. Did I already do that? I don't think it did. I don't know. But yeah, so that was just my I disconnected too. It was nice. Like yesterday, I made it a thing to where I was gonna I woke up and I was like, I'm not gonna get online. I'm just gonna relax, and just watch some things and just kind of relax, not get on Twitter. And then, of course, I had to eventually get on Twitter because I had to post like my Quiet Place 2 review, and then, of course, the Batman the Fanimated stream. And then I knew I was having company over, so I went, all right, I'm going to disconnect when people get here. I'm just going to disconnect, and just that's it. I don't want to be online, and I had like totally disconnected. I only use my phone to play stuff off of it on my TV, and it's nice because then once you get back on, like, and the next day I started looking at stuff, my fucking whole thing is blowing up, and it's just like, good Lord, man. And but that's just part of it. But I suggest everyone just freaking disconnect. You gotta unplug from the matrix every now and again. Just gotta do it. Because I feel like I'm on Twitter way too much, way more than I should be. Sometimes I'm just like, ugh, I gotta stop, put my phone down. But I'm constantly just like, what's happening right now? What's going on? All right, let's see. Stream link. All right, posting the link now for paper. Let's see. All right, just publish right now. So there you go. So look for that. But howdy doody tooty fruities. There you go. I love the dream lens with it was good. I mean, the dream lens works. I mean, I get why people can be like, and then, does it always work? No, I think sometimes, maybe not use a dream lens. But then there's what I like too is like when there's shots of like those clean shots that are within Army of the Dead, where it's not always like the dream lens type kind of shots, So, I think he had a good balance, but yeah. But I do like the fact that Zach was like, fuck it. Let's just, let's do the whole entire dream lens. What's up, Film Junkee, and everybody in the chat getting ready to head out. There you go. Pool party. Well, there you go. And Corona. Oh, so you're going to a pool party this late at night? Jeez. Interesting. And you're in Corona. That's pretty close. That's like that away right there when it comes to me. Pool party at almost 7:00. Huh. That's cool, man. But whatever. It is the weekend. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, it's not like it's freezing. Well, it's not super hot outside. It hasn't quite got super hot yet. So, but anyways, so okay. I'll show you. Is that no? Okay. Okay. All right. So we got some people. We got Eric joining in. What's up, sir?
Hey, buddy.
All right. We got Doug and we got Philip. What is happening, gentlemen?
Oh, how you doing, boys?
Same stuff, different day, Dave. How are you?
Yeah, Doug. Okay, Doug. Okay. I saw that your mic was not connected, so you're good now.
Yeah.
How's it going, gentlemen?
All right. Doing great, man. Hey, by the way, first of all, let me reassure you that don't worry, you have nothing to worry about with the seltzer because I still don't have any actual liquor to bring along this time. I mean, I'm still looking for it, but like right now, here's a little specialty. This will be the last orange vanilla Coke you will see in quite a while.
Orange vanilla Coke.
Wow. They stopped making it. So
that's right, they did. It's an interesting flavor. I actually tried that one time.
Yeah.
Wasn't a fan. I like the vanilla Coke, but the orange, it's whatever. But anyways, Philip, how's it going, sir?
It's going, my man. How's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. What are you drinking?
Mountain Dew.
He's
As
getting
always.
a caffeine buzz, man.
Although,
What about you, Doug?
I'm doing vodka soda. It's pretty
Nice.
much a seltzer.
Nice, nice mug there. That beautiful Justice League ceramic mug.
I love it.
that thing.
yeah.
Such-
By the way,
such a-
now with that
beautiful.
Coke out of the way, here's some cream soda in here because it looks like scotch.
There you go. Whatever works.
But I'll tell you this whiskey glass right here is thirsty for actual scotch, and I'm gonna get it sometime. Hopefully, I'll get it by next time.
Okay. Yeah.
Amazing.
There you go. I'm not a huge scotch drinker, but it's all right. On occasion, it's fine. Like, I think the last time I had scotch was at my cousin's house. My cousin's husband, I don't know, it was like Christmas time, and he was like, he just felt like having a scotch, and I was like, yeah, pour me one. And it was, he had that cube, the ice cube that's like a ball, put it in there, and we were just chilling around the bonfire, just scotch. That was the last time I had it, but other than that, it's like bourbon for me. If that's the case, but
Well, I guess then it's a difference to our taste because, like, I like smoother. For me, the smoother the better.
yeah.
And scotch is smoother than bourbon, of course. But still, not that I have anything against bourbon. I had it once, and I was like, not against it, but it's okay. It's not.
It depends on the bourbon too, I guess you could say. Some of them have a little more bite. I would say the bullet bourbons are a little more smooth. I want to try Snyder's bourbon. God damn it!
Oh, yeah. So would I.
God. I was like, hey, buddy, you want to send me over? I mean, it's a pretty expensive bottle, but yeah.
I'll tell you, like,
These days.
another thing, like one time, like I also plan to at some point bring along a vodka and an orange juice and mix up a screwdriver right before your eyes.
There you go.
And I'm going to do it the traditional way with an actual screwdriver.
What is that? The way that is that why it's called that?
Yeah, because this is the story. It was because on like construction sites or whatever. Like
you know what, Eric?
there's
Hold that
a
thought.
Yeah.
That thought, Eric. I'm gonna go get some wine. That's what I'm gonna go do.
Okay.
Wine is good. I love me some wine.
Nothing like a good glass of wine. Anyways, go ahead.
So the story is like construction workers and all that. They would want to cover up that they were like drinking alcohol because they're not allowed to, because like the foremen come in and they get pissed. So what they would do was they would mix a vodka and orange juice, and so that when the foreman comes along, it looks like they're drinking actual orange juice. And because they're on a job site, what would they mix it with? What they got, an actual screwdriver, and screwdriver.
Nice. I never knew about that. So there you go. There you go. This has been History of Drinks with Eric Blake. I like it.
All right.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, how's everything going? Well, I mean, obviously when it comes to Army of the Dead, that's like what we're talking about. Like, that's what we've been kind of talking about. And of course, being the Snyder fans that we are, Doug, what were your thoughts when it came to Army of the Dead?
Yeah, I love DC and I love Zack Snyder, and I didn't think I'd be obsessed with Army of the Dead the way I am, but it's been crazy. Like,
cheers, man.
Cheers.
You know, whenever I watch a Zack Snyder film, it's weird because the first time I watch it is the least I'll ever like it. And so you keep watching it and keep watching it, and you find more and more, and then you listen to these interviews, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. And you kind of think, okay, maybe they're in a time loop, and then he's kind of substantiating that, and man, it's crazy. And then the needle drops stick in your head, and the music. I mean,
that Elvis song in the beginning. I mean,
well, I mean, leaving Las Vegas, the Richard Cheese, Allison Crowe is just phenomenal.
Dude.
And we'll talk about that whole sequence, I'm sure. But I mean, those are the types of things that just stick in your head, and that's why Zack Snyder, ever since 300 and Watchmen, has just been he's just been somebody that's really stuck with me. It's those types of things that stick with you days later. The songs are playing in your head, the scenes are playing in your head. So I'm just fascinated with it, and I can't wait to see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, like even watching it today, I was sitting there trying to just catch little. This morning I watched it. We watched it, and then I was just trying to catch little things, little hints of things. I mean, anything that Vander talks about, I'm like, something. You're you. There's something about you that I'm just like, there's just something about. And we know that too. Now we know officially that his character is going to be in the prequel series. Obviously, Snyder showed that drawing on the stream, the live watch stream yesterday on Twitch for Ohio Dave. I love the fact that he showed Vander in the animation style. I guess that was it wasn't like, that's not exactly what it's gonna like, but it was like an early mock-up, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, he said it wasn't finished.
Yeah. So you just, when you're watching it, you just go, I mean, it's just kind of funny. Like the first time I watched it, I immediately Vander is like my favorite character, like coming out. But then as you keep watching it, you're going, man, what does this guy know? Does he know Zeus? I mean, what is going on? He squares up to Zeus, and you're just kind of wondering. And then even when we at first thought he was trolling, we thought he was trolling that about the time loop thing. And I think it's kind of funny too, that someone who's a frequent visitor of the vodka stream, Mr. Stephen Colbert, was not accepting of the time loop stuff, and it was kind of funny. And I was like, man, I really wanted Stephen to show up on the vodka stream Friday, because
throw a knife at Stephen.
I had that drop ready for him, but and it was just, and I love the fact that he was, because even chatting with him, he was like, it's trolling, it's no time loop stuff. I think he was kind of like, he wasn't about it at first, but now it seems like it's there. Philip, what do you think? Like, how do you feel about the time loop aspect
I remember
of it?
walking out of the movie on the 13th and just being, I didn't catch a lot the first time. So when I watched it initially again on Netflix, start seeing a lot more stuff like the aliens, and you start taking into account like the time loop, and it's like, I don't know, but I'm with you. Like Vandero's definitely got some significance to him. I mean, he's the philosopher for a reason as well. And when he goes in the vault, he doesn't have a bite mark. When he comes out, he does. So it's one of two things, and I think it's got to be the movie we saw was one timeline. The movie that he steps out of is another timeline.
Yep, I 100% believe that. And Eric, what are your thoughts about the time loop and all that stuff?
And the film as a whole?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll start off because I actually worked as a film critic for a while for Western Free Press. But I always believed in kicking off with the stuff I don't care for and then ending on a positive note. So but there's only one issue that I had with the movie. One. Zach was talking about how he was playing with the cliches of horror films, or
the tropes, which are very much there, right down to the keys being in the sun visor.
Yeah, but
that is the tropiest trope of the fucking tropes, man.
But it's still, look, the worst trope of them all, the trope that I can never stand because it's pure idiot plot trope, is walking around in a horror situation alone. And why does Chambers die? Because she's walking around through these hibernating zombies alone.
Well, I mean, partly, her mistake was the fact that she shouldn't have threatened Martin before. Like, threaten him after we get through the hibernating zombies. But she was a little too antsy to be like, I know something's wrong with you. A little too antsy there. Hold it. Chamber it, Chambers.
Yeah, and in response, he like basically like breaks off from her and all that. But still,
yeah, he fucks her over bad.
lady, you're walking around alone. Like, and I was watching this, and I'm like, why, Zach? I hate it when this happens, when the character acts like an idiot in a horror film. Which is why Scream is so great, by the way, because the characters make it a point to not be idiots, but still.
Yeah.
Now, that said, again, that is the one thing that I did not like.
Scream is pretty meta though at sometimes.
Yeah.
I know. It's the characters commenting on the tropes that they're trying.
Oh
to
yeah, I always say I'm Jamie Kennedy in that fucking franchise 100%. I would be that guy. I mean, like, yeah.
But I'll tell you this, like my absolute favorite part of character in the movie, my favorite part of the movie is all things Deirdre. I mean, I don't care.
Deirdre's great. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like the German, and he's like, well, German engineering is the best in the world, and he's like, and I love how he brings up art. Like art is his theme. Like everything he did, like his job, he views his job as an art.
Yeah.
And he talks about like Wagner and the theater, and he's like, and I love how dramatic he gets when he finally approaches the vault, and then when he finishes like unlocking the vault and he steps away, you hear Wagner playing, which is brilliant.
Beautiful.
Like Zach, that was beautiful. But my favorite two lines from him is like when he's when Scott is like trying to hire him and all that, is like, so you don't think you can open it? It says, look, I'm not sure you can, but am I the best chance you have on opening it? I can, in humility, say yes.
Yeah, I know. Dieter's great. I can't wait to see the prequel. It's going to be fantastic.
And also when geez, I keep forgetting how to say his name. The guy whose name starts with a V.
Vanderoe?
Yeah, Vanderoe. When he's trying to train him how to use a gun, and it seems like Deirdre is a little hesitant about how to use it. But at the very end, he says, this is art.
Yeah. Well, it's a machine. Like he talks about it like it's a machine, and
this machine is a work of art. Yeah. By the way, like actual pearl grips, and this baby is 70 years old. Has barely.
Oh wow! Look at that thing. Jeez.
A Ruger 22 single action. Beautiful thing.
That is pretty beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice.
Black with pearl grips. It is 70 years old, barely been used. Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Oh, and while we're at it, let me show you what I also got.
Oh yeah, your 8-ball. Apparently, your 8-ball that's supposed to be telling everybody's future and future of the sniper.
Although it's not one of those that's being positive about everything. I mean, I asked it like, is Ray Fisher likely to end up in the Flash film after all? And it said very doubtful.
Man. Well, Jesus Christ, damn it. We're gonna invite some other people in here. We got Darren and we got Carrie. What's up, Mr. Carrie the K Train? I like that. What's going on, guys, gentlemen?
Hello.
Darren, what's up, sir? How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Just had a birthday.
Yeah, your son, right? Your son's birthday?
Well, I just had a birthday.
You had a birthday. Sorry.
Me and my son.
Oh, yeah.
And I got engaged.
Oh, wow.
Hey,
Congratulations, sir.
Nice.
Cheers, man. Yeah. Good to hear. And your son just turned how old?
He's my oldest. He's 16. I have 3.
Yeah. And I know. I remember. Yeah. And then, I mean, you don't look like you. I mean, hey, man, you look young as shit. You probably get that a lot. But I remember when you saw that, and even people were going, dude, I did not think you were that. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's what's, I mean, people say that about me too. And it's great to hear. I mean, obviously, but man, I'll tell you what, it was like, wow, you have a 16-year-old. Holy crap, man.
He's about to be a junior in high school.
Damn. Wow. There you go. And you're engaged. You're having a pretty good week. That's for damn sure. Carrie, what's going on, sir? I know you said that you were kind of fighting a little cold today.
Yeah, I've been fighting a bad cough off and on throughout the day, and so it's starting to turn into the runny, drippy nose kind of thing. So, so I may only be here for just a little bit, and then I don't know if you can tell from my voice even, but I may have to pop out a little later.
Yeah, well,
and of course I'm doing the healthy thing and drinking soda and having pizza while I'm sick. So.
I know, man. You should be drinking something. I'm telling you. I mean, I've said it before and I said it again. Like at Deck the Halls stream that we did, me and Swenson, That's when I had COVID, and I had 100-degree temperature and big time, like it was raw right here and chest congestion. Man, did the bourbon really help that? That was my medicine that night.
I woke up and I was like, I can't have COVID, can I? Because I've been like fully vaccinated for like well over a month by now. So I was like, I don't think so. But it feels like a time when I've been sick like that before. So
yeah, see, that's the bad part nowadays. Now, when you get like little sniffles, anything like that, oh my God, is it the vid? Is it the COVID? That's what we all worry about now. But
speaking of which, I actually got my first shot on Friday. First shot of the vaccine that starts with an M. So
it starts with an M.
Yeah, I got my Moderna last Friday.
Moderna that's what it is. Moderna. That's what it is. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, I had already had like sore. I was kind of like sore already last week because like I was like on my day off, like I was doing some like construction work for my dad asked me for a favor and all that, so I helped him with a construction job or whatever. So I was a little sore on the job, but then like after the shot, the day after the shot, I had to call out my main job in Walmart because like suddenly I was super sore and my like arm was I was aching hard over here. But I'm all okay right now. But it's it was like one day of it, but still. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, when my mom got the shot, her arm was also very, very sore. But
yeah, my mom just got the shot. Her arm's pretty sore too.
Yeah. Darren, we were just talking about Army of the Dead, things we liked about it, and mainly the time loop stuff. I mean, but give your initial thoughts. How'd you enjoy Army of the Dead?
I loved it. I've only seen it once though because I've been super busy.
Yeah.
But the thing that spoiler alert for anybody out there.
No, yeah. It's all right. We're all about spoilers. Don't worry.
I didn't expect everybody to die.
Yeah.
That's what me.
Well,
I expected most of them to die. I didn't know it was going to be like, I figured there'd be maybe like 2 or 3, but yeah,
it was 2 because Scott's daughter survives and Randall survives.
They did this time.
Yeah.
Maybe not next time.
Yeah. I know. God, man, that time loop thing intrigues the shit. I mean, because this time when I watched it this morning, I went, oh yeah, when they go to that table where they find these other blueprints and it's like, oh, it's another team. Even Zach said, that's them at the table. And I'm like, all right, so if this is the 3rd time, I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, we see them, there's the vault, there's the table, and then where's the other time that we actually see some more bodies?
It's kind of clued in. The number 4 is the big number.
Yeah. But I'm just
so like,
I know 4 is rarely, obviously that number is like all throughout the movie. There's 4, 4, 4, 4. I mean, right to the beginning of the credits where the Liberace guy is like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. It's like, wow, the fact that he went all the way to 4, that's not a mistake. I mean, you'd think it'd be like 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 but he
tweeted
4.
something out where it was something about live and die, or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And he did it 3 times.
And then the 4th thing is hashtag Army of the Dead. Yeah.
Right.
That damn Zack Snyder and his goddamn riddles, man. I mean, shit. I mean, he was on the stream like a week ago, and just there's so many things that, of course, we wanted to ask him. But I mean, and I love his answers of yes, but no, maybe. It's always like that when it comes to him. And then I love it when he talks, when you have some theories, he goes, well, I think the idea, and then he'll like, I'm not 100% sure. He'll say stuff like that. He'll start off with, I'm not 100% sure. Or the idea is, and then sometimes when you bring up an idea, he goes, I like that. And then you're like, okay, but am I right?
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Because remember, somebody inspired him to cast Carla Gugino as Selena. So
yeah, I mean, that whole thing was just kind of like, it was just kind of funny about. Obviously, she did voiceovers for recently. I mean, obviously before Zack Snyder, and then I think it was just kind of funny because people were all about her being Selena. So he made the joke. Apparently, when he tweeted that out, or not tweeted that out, but Vuro'd that out. That was a day where they were actually, recording some ADR with her. And you got to realize sometimes Zach trolls, guys. Yeah. Sometimes not everything needs to be like, oh my God, what does he mean? He might just be trolling just a little bit,
Yeah.
So
And he also,
you just never know.
And he also accepted that, thought it would be cool for Dame Judi Dench as.
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh yeah. I mean, he's always open up, like, interpret. I mean, I honestly, I mean, I think Harry Lennox, Swanwick, Martian Manhunter only came to be because of us, the fans. I think that was not on the table with Man of Steel. And then when it came to BVS, I think that's when it started being like, well, maybe people are kind of, friends are going, hey, is this guy, is this John Jones going on right? I mean, and I think he was like, yeah, let's run with it. That's a good fucking theory. That's a good, it's something good.
It's a fun idea.
It is. And it worked like a charm. I mean, we all are like, yeah, and we want more, obviously. Carrie, thoughts, Army of the Dead.
Really liked it a lot. I don't know. I have this weird, I don't know what to call it, a relationship with this, because I'm kind of new to the horror genre as a whole. Like, I've only been like checking stuff out in the last like 3, 4, 5 years. Like, for the longest time, for most of my life, I just avoided almost all horror and didn't really grow up, watching zombie movies. I didn't really get into zombie stuff until like Walking Dead show. So it was kind of by way of that and becoming more interested in that way. But then, and then years later, watching Dawn of the Dead after becoming a fan of Snyder's and enjoying that, So, but no, I really liked it. Trying to think. It's funny to me how many little things there are, whether it's like the UFOs or like the robot zombies, how someone, at least for me, until someone tells you they're there, I completely miss it.
Exactly. That's what I was just talking about today. Like, when I watched it and I was pointing it out to, with people I was watching it with, and I was like, all right, first 40 seconds or something that you're gonna probably see. Let me see if you spot it. Didn't. The only thing that was mentioned was there lightning that just flashed? Like, not quite. And then rewound it and said, look, boop, right there. Pay attention.
I mean, it does cause lightning when
yes, there's a flicker. There's a flicker. So at least that was spotted, but the little balls of light were not spotted.
Yeah.
And then I was just kind of I mean, as it was going through, I was kind of going, did you hear that? And this was actually the first time I kind of even realized that this was happening, is that sometimes, even though you don't see, I mean, sometimes, it's clear as day. There's one particular shot, I think it's with Guzman, that shoots some zombie in the head, and you clearly see it's a robot.
I've caught 2 shots of that so far. Yeah. I've caught 2 robot zombies, and both of them are shot by Guzman.
Yeah, and yes, and it's
I haven't seen any others yet.
So the first shot is right underneath in the safe.
Yes, in the hallway.
Right, and then the second time is right before Scott, Lily, and Guzman, or rather, right before Scott and Lily get in the elevator. And Guzman sacrifices himself. He shoots a zombie, and you see like the face plate. You see it all blow off, and then you see like the robotic parts, and it's like, whoa.
That was like that was probably the clearest shot right there, because I think Zach was like, we gotta like really show a clear shot, because what I paid attention to this time around was when you're listening to the headshots, sometimes it's just normal bop, 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 but sometimes you hear bink, bink,
clink.
Bink. Yeah, you hear a clink. You don't see that it's a cyborg zombie, but you hear it. And I was like, I didn't spot that.
What's hard too is like when they're firing like in the casino, like it could be, you could also interpret it like the bullets are just hitting the slot machines and stuff like that.
Exactly. Or it's like the shells, because like it was like, oh, isn't that the shells? No, that's the bullet hitting. What were you gonna say, Philip?
Apparently there might also be one, I don't know for sure, but I think there might also be one in the beginning where Zeus comes in kind of Batman style with like all the other alphas around him. I think there might be one in the crowd with blue eyes. I don't know for sure.
You're talking about around the pool?
Yeah,
there is. I spotted it this time too. Like, it's clear. Like, you see like a big like wide shot of the whole group, and there's one literally just blue eyes, just shooting out. I was like, oh, I didn't spot that the first 3 times. There he is.
Is that when they've drug Cummings in?
No, was it that?
No.
Or I think it was when the baby.
It's in the pool. Okay, it might either be the pool or when Cummings gets drug in. I'm not entirely sure.
I think it's when now I can't remember which one it was.
When he opens up, when
it could be the baby part.
Okay.
Yeah, when he pulls out the baby, I don't know. Now I can't remember.
Well, I don't. And what I caught this time when Scott shoots Zeus towards the end in the helicopter, there is like looks like blue liquid or something
yeah.
like that. Splatters
Well,
out
even-
with blood splatter.
Even when you see the fetus, like it's
You see
blue,
blue.
and then it just dies out, and then dies, and then he yells out, and it's just like, okay, yeah. I mean, there's something. I mean, the queen doesn't have it when her head hits the ground, nothing. But Zeus head blows off. You see like that blue kind of flurry like stuff that just comes out of it. It's very intriguing. God, man, it's just so much with this movie, and that's what was funny when I brought up. I'm like, okay, it sounds like it's a zombie heist movie. Way more. There's way more to it. I mean, aliens, robots, time loops. What the hell, man?
It's definitely. It reminds me, not the exact same execution of it necessarily, but like it reminds me a lot of like the kind of mysterious stuff of like from watching the TV show Lost, because Lost had that big mystery of like what is the island, and like how the fact that they later uncover that the island can be moved, and almost seems to have like, I don't know, its own like self-awareness or something like that. So it's like, so is the vault or this particular casino like that? I don't know if you caught it, Dave, but like early on, like during the opening montage sequence, there's a
Virtual reality.
Virtual reality of like shoot a zombie or something like that.
Yep. There's when there's like a big huge shot of like Vegas, and before they're like dropping bombs and shit like that, you see like one of like a billboard, not really a billboard, but like whatever the hell that says virtual reality, and it's like, what are you doing here? Jack? I see what you're.
And if I can build on what Carrie just said about the analogies between Army of the Dead and Lost, I mean, and this is something that J.J. Abrams has talked about a lot. If you pay attention to the opening title of Lost, how it's black and white and it's like the rotating title and all that, he deliberately meant to invoke the Twilight Zone. And the idea is the whole show was supposed to be one Twilight Zone story as a whole show. And that was his vision for the show. So, and with that, and of course, like we don't get the twist until the very end, because like we spent the whole show assuming that that all these characters were the people who survived the crash. They're not. They're at the very end. Nope, they're the ones who died. And this island, and there's this big theory this purgatory. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you got to look at the anything could be symbolic all the way down. I mean, one of the things that I was kind of thinking about was the fact that when they walled off Vegas, it's not walled off like a square. It's walled off. I mean, it's not a perfect circle, but it's like an oval, but it's like a loop. It is kind of a loop. But I'm like, they walled it off like that. I mean, you'd think they would wall it off like a square or something like that. But when you see that graphic, it literally does this thing where it like does that. And I'm like, is that something? What's going on? Well, I mean,
what's the song they start off and end with?
Oh yeah, I'm caught in a trap.
I mean,
I can't walk out.
He's telling you right there.
I know. I mean, there's so many things. I know. It's oh man, there's so many theories, man, and that's what's so great about it. I mean, that's what
because Army of the Dead is very much a Twilight Zone story. Seriously, and I guess really just goes to show folks who are eager and like folks who are passionate about the Snyderverse, yes, but to the point where they want to insult J.J. Abrams and what he's bringing to DC. I hate to tell you this, but J.J. and Zack are a lot more like each other than you think.
Oh yeah, they're friends. They're definitely friends. Obviously, when we saw the back and forth at that one Comic-Con, I don't know, was it 2016?
2015?
Yeah, 15, where they were just going back and forth. I mean,
beautiful fan art. Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely friends.
And you just know that when what he was going through with Lucasfilm, and then he brought on Chris Terrio, and you just know he was saying, "So Chris, the bull crap you went through with Warner Brothers, is it anything like what I'm going through with Lucasfilm?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay." So of course, when Warner Brothers wants to bring him on board, he says, "Okay, I'll come on board. Fire Sujihara."
I think that was also more of JJ's wife giving that man too.
That helped.
I think money also had a pretty big say in that as well. I think it was like a $500 million deal for Bad Robot and Warner,
which implies along with it carte blanche, like you decide what vision you want to go with, and what did you want to go with? He wants to go with Justice League Dark, and the Superman film that he's producing is an Elseworlds, like this black Superman thing. Like we emphasize, it's an Elseworlds, which is okay.
Yeah.
I can't stand Ta-Nehisi Coates, but at least it's an Elseworld, not a shared universe.
He is pretty controversial. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that script. And
if you've read the crap that he wrote about 9/11 first responders, that alone is like, oh, God.
It's bad.
I thought it was kind of funny that Regina King found out she was on a short list when everyone else did.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because all of a sudden they were talking about like, oh, she might direct it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was new. And I was like, well, all right. Okay.
I think it's one of those things that gets announced that is never happening.
Yeah, I see Darren kind of shaking his head.
If it does happen, it's going to be in 2 or 3 different versions down the road, and maybe Ta-Nehisi Coates and J.J. Abrams are involved, but it's going to go through 2 or 3 transformations if it ever happens.
Yeah,
Right.
That was my read on it.
And it's like telling that JJ's not directing, because if he were directing, I'm pretty sure he would have done at least something, a takeoff of.
Are you kidding me? If he was announced as director, all the angry Star Wars fans would have just had it out for him and would have started on Superman.
Yeah,
but it would be, if he was announced as director, it would be happening.
Probably.
Yeah.
There'd be the people who were fine with the Star Wars movies would be like, yay. The people who hated what he did with Star Wars, or at least on the fence, would be like, no. So.
Yeah, I think I've always felt like, and I think this is what's going to happen, which according to JJ's recent quotes about what he wants to do with DC products. I mean, I was always like, nah, don't make him a director. Producer, fine.
Yep.
But don't make him a director. And sounds like that's what he's like doing. He's like, yeah, we're producing a bunch of stuff. I'm not directing. If I'm going to direct something, I want to come up with, I want to direct something original. And I'm like, sweet, totally fine.
Yeah.
And again,
Justice League Dark could be an awesome segment he could do. I mean, so many spinoffs and individual series and movies. I mean, that could be its own universe and never cross over with anything.
It definitely is.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely in his wheelhouse. He could absolutely make a fantastic Justice League Dark series, and I don't have any doubts about that at all.
And it's gonna cross streams more with the Shazam universe and Dr. Fate-ish than anybody else.
Oh, more than likely.
So you think that JJ's Dr. Fate will be Pierce Brosnan then?
I don't know. I mean, I think JJ's going to do whatever he wants.
That's true.
I'd love to, because like when it was announced that Pierce Brosnan would be Dr. Fate, I mean, that was not a casting I was thinking of. But when I heard the news,
we're not too far off.
I thought it was going to be like a Sam. I remember they talked about Sam Rockwell, and I was like, well, why don't you just cast Sam Rockwell? But now Pierce, okay, even better.
If you could cross your streams with any kind of product that includes, the
Magic.
Rock, like you get involved with that. I mean, that's just going to be money.
Yeah. Even though I really like JJ as a director, I think his bigger strength seems to be like getting projects started. Like how many TV shows has he gotten off the ground that have been big hits and everything like that. So yeah, whatever he's trying to get going with in the DC universe stuff for Warner Brothers and HBO Max is probably more likely to succeed than not if he's attached to it, at least from the get-go.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. But like I said, when it comes to the series, there's so much you can do with that, with that group of characters and spin-offs and whatnot. And like I said, whoever said it was up his wheelhouse, I think that's why I think that's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the reasons why they announced kind of like that. One of the first things with him is like, we're finally, even though it's, we all wish we can see that, we can travel to that multiverse where Del Toro's Justice League Dark is a thing. I mean, obviously that just seems like it's too perfect.
Yeah, that should have happened. That sounds like
should have happened.
Del Toro talked about that years ago. Like I think I was at WonderCon in 2013 or 2014 or something like that, and he was there for the panel for Pacific Rim, and someone asked him about Justice League Dark and who's your favorite character among that group, and he was like, both having Constantine and Swamp Thing are in there together are really fun because they really play off each other interestingly. So he was going in depth about, I mean, obviously not revealing anything, but like going at that time. So you could tell he was excited for it, for Justice League Dark at that time. It clearly had the ideas more or less somewhat sorted out in his head, so. There was a genuine excitement and kind of he was hopeful about it. So
as he should have been, because it's
right.
I mean, like I said, I mean, you watch something like Pan's Labyrinth. I mean, there's just something that, I mean, Del Toro has a style. He has. I mean, I hated the second. Maybe not hated. Second Pacific Rim was so underwhelming for me. I didn't think. I thought where. Who directed it again? I forgot it.
I think that was
Steven
Steven S. Tonight.
Yeah,
that's tonight. Yeah,
and I'm like, I like him, but at the same time, I was just like, the essence of the first one is lost here. Everything is so hyper. Yeah, everything was fast. Everything just didn't have. I don't know. It felt too Power Rangers-y. I don't know what it just didn't. I don't know. You go back and watch that first one, and I'm not saying like maybe not every, but when you look at those visuals of what Del Toro did, you just don't have that with the second one. I don't know. I mean, I
forget. Was Pacific Rim his original idea, or was it based off of something?
I think that was his original effort, and then when it came to the sequel, he stepped back into a producer role because they moved that sequel back for a couple different reasons.
Didn't they? Yeah.
And then there is a very distinct like style change between the first and second film. Oh, 100%. Like, yeah. And it's not I wouldn't say unfortunate. It's just, it's noticeable.
Oh yeah. I was just disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm worried about Joker 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was gonna get to that, Darren. I was like, okay.
Oh man,
yeah, I know.
They were talking about the possibility of a Joker 2 from the beginning, like from the moment the first one was released. And
let me get another drink. I'll be right back.
And here's the thing.
Good idea.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Joaquin Phoenix himself has regularly said that he's never interested in sequels, but this time, after the first movie came out, people were asked him, would you be interested in a sequel for this one? And Joaquin Phoenix, Mr. I'll never do sequels, he's like, well, if the script's good, I'm open for it.
Well, he said he's interested in the character, but I feel like if they make a sequel, it's going to take away from the first one because
it 100% does. I mean, this is one of the things I think I spoke with Robert Meyer Burnett. I think he mentioned that. I think it was him. It was either him or Eric Davis. I'm not exactly sure who. I think it was Robert who said that, once we get that Joker sequel, all the theories go out the window. Any theory that we had about that first movie of what exactly is happening here, it all gets thrown out because now they're going to show you what
Isn't that pretty much the case with any sequel, though?
It is. No, it is. But that's the thing. But then, for instance, imagine Christopher Nolan goes, "I'm making an Inception sequel." All right. So then, any kind of conversation about what happens, whether he's still dreaming or not. But now we just find out, and there's no more discussion about it. It just kind of loses that conversation. I don't know. I kind of like it when it's open for interpretation.
I would be genuinely surprised if Christopher Nolan ever decided to do a sequel to anything.
I don't think he's. Well, I mean, he did Dark Knight. I mean, that's
okay. Outside of Batman, right?
Yeah, of course. Sorry, what were we gonna say, Darren? Sorry,
I was saying Todd Phillips pitched so much more stuff to him, so why don't they?
I have kind of a theory about that.
Imagine a horror movie, like a DC horror movie about Jonathan Crane.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. That's what I want to see when it comes to any other character that they can do. I mean, I think even Scott and I, when we were doing Batman Fanimated, the Scarecrow episode, we kept talking about how there's so much possibility with this character that they could do in a Black Label type movie because you see it in that episode of
Nothing to Fear,
that first, because you see a backstory of Jonathan Crane and his experiments and how he was as a kid and he loved to scare people and blah blah blah. So yeah, there's so much there. But I kind of almost even have a theory too. I'm like, it's Todd Phillips going, all right, I'm going to do Joker 2, but we're in Arkham. Maybe I can introduce some of these other characters within this.
That's cool. Or something like where they showed the history of Arkham. Nobody had really done how Arkham started up from the beginning.
A movie called Arkham, right? That in of itself sells itself.
There's so much they can do, and they're only making a sequel to Joker because, for one, it's the Joker.
Yeah, it made $1 billion.
But it's why don't they just try something else? And that's another way to keep expanding the universe.
Because it made $1 billion and they didn't cash in on it because they sold the production rights to
fucking
it.
Toby.
Yeah.
Toby.
Him and Walter didn't sold off the production rights.
I hope somebody Discovery is
it should have been a cash cow, and they screwed the pooch on that. So they're pushing a guy to do another sequel, and he's like, "Well, I propose all these Black Label projects. Well, no, we want more Joker."
But he's only like co-writing it, or he's only co-writing. He's not directing.
Well, as of right now, it's co-writing, and that's kind of what's weird about it. It's like, all right, I mean, obviously they probably threw some numbers at you, okay, but then it's just, yeah, now we got to still hear about, okay, it would just be kind of, I even said in my video, I was like, it'd be kind of funny if Joaquin just goes, I'm good.
Yeah,
is he co-writing it with Scott Silver?
I don't know. I don't think they announced who the other writer was. Probably.
I'm very curious as to why Todd Phillips has never talked about what those other were. I mean,
say that again. Sorry, you kind of cut out.
I'm just curious why Todd Phillips has never really talked about or given any indication as to what exactly those other ideas were.
Yeah, that would be kind of sweet. Like when he talked about how he pitched other characters, I want to know which characters that he did. I mean, was it Lex Luthor? Was it Victor Freeze? Was
Harvey
it Jonathan
Dent.
Kent? Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, obviously, when you think of something like this, Batman's Rogues Gallery is just loaded up with any. You could do a fucking movie on every single one of them. I mean, a little harder to do it with some of the other, characters, villains, because they're rogues galleries. They get a little too, meta human.
I feel like it's almost a given that the Lex Luthor movie would be like a Martin Scorsese film, like a Wolf of Wall Street or what have you.
Yeah, it could be that, or it could be a Social Network. I mean, we already kind of got that.
That to me is like the most least interesting standalone villain movie you could do, because Lex Luthor
Lex Luthor would be perfect, because
I'm not really on board with it, but all right.
They did a Lex Luthor movie, and he's president. And he's thinking about everything that's happened in the past, and they're showing like what Superman looks like to Lex Luthor through his eyes.
Oh, that'd be kind of okay.
That would be.
I like that perspective.
There's been some really good Lex Luthor solo miniseries and issues that are just really awesome, and most of it takes the frame of like seeing Superman through his eyes. And it doesn't have to be Jesse Eisenberg, but there's really good stuff there. And it's not I don't think it's as
just long as you're not having him sell fucking real estate, just
anything but
no selling land. We don't need to do that. But I think that's why we appreciate Snyder's version of Lex Luthor. I mean, of course it was so divisive, but then everybody's kind of going like, what do you want him to do? Like sell another chunk of land, or like just be about that? I mean, this is like
a giant island of kryptonite.
Has Snyder ever said why he chose Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor?
No, I don't think it. Has there ever been like? There's probably been interviews where he's talking.
So I don't know for sure, but him and Eisenberg, not him, but Henry Cavill and Jesse Eisenberg are the same age, so they're equivocally like Lex Luthor and Superman, same age, that kind of deal going on. But it's also because he was most kind of because of Social Network, because he could portray this very like young intellectual billionaire spoiled brat, but he really is like super intelligent. He is one step ahead of a lot of these other people. He really is like the antithesis of Batman's humanity in a lot of ways. Like, what is his humanity in regards to how he approaches Superman, and like how that affects him in that human perspective? Like, Lex Luthor is the evil perspective of humanity personified.
Yes. And that reminds me of like one of my like number one means of defense, like when people complain about Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor and how he plays him, I just point out to that moment at the very end of Unbreakable where Sam Jackson says, in the comic, you know how you can always tell who the going to be. He's the exact opposite of the And Eisenberg's Lex is the exact opposite of Henry Cavill's Superman.
Yes. No. I'm totally with you on that. I mean, that's where... Man, I gotta watch Unbreakable again. It's been a bit. That's what's so fantastic about that movie.
One of the most underrated line with Jesse is at the end of Justice League, and he's got Deathstroke on his yacht, and he tells him his name's Bruce Wayne. He just goes, "Good boy." He tells the number one mercenary in the planet, "Good boy."
See,
it's like, you get your head cut off unless you're Lex Luthor.
Yeah,
and I loved how it just exuded his power, and I'm like, All right. And I've always been,
So good.
You know what I
wishy-washy
also,
on Jesse.
you know what I also love about that scene too, that I think I brought up. I forgot where I brought it up, but I mean, yeah, I'm totally agree with yeah, that's just the fact that he just has that confidence of, this little skinny, twerp essentially, who he just could say that. But I remember watching that scene for the first time, and I kind of went, man, Slade just really accepts like that. Oh, it's Bruce Wayne, and he just like smiles and goes, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, wow, he just really accepted that. And I'm like, no. Slade kind of suspected that it was that Batman was Bruce Wayne. Already. There's no way that it was just like, oh, Lex Luthor just told me that, I'm gonna believe him. I think he always had a suspicion of like possibly
there's 20 years of history.
Exactly.
So,
and he was, and in the Snyderverse, apparently he's a member of the League. He was a member of the League of Shadows.
Oh yeah. They're supposed to be the Rozog. Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you guys something. Am I the only one in the nightmare sequence that loved the fact that Joker called him Bruce?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Bruce.
Oh yes.
I love
exactly who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that he called him both. He went Batman, and then he went Bruce. Well, Bruce, and just the way that it was fantastic.
I'm of the opinion that in general, I mean, I think the Nightmare timeline is the big exception because it's the Nightmare, right? Where all bets are off on everything. But like in general, I think the Joker doesn't really care who Batman actually is. Like, he does. If he were to learn that he's Bruce Wayne, he'd be like, "What? Who cares? Like I care about Batman."
Batman the animated series where Harley was talking about trying to find out who Batman is or something like that, and Joker pretty much tells her like that's no fun if you expose who he is.
Yeah. Yes. See.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
Joker looks at it like a game. Yeah.
But it makes sense for the Nightmare timeline for what you're saying, Darren, because like it doesn't really, the whole back and forth game that him and Batman are playing for over those years doesn't really matter anymore at that point. Joker's not the he since Darkseid is taken over, like Joker being a mass murdering clown isn't as big a threat anymore. With Darkseid being there, so. Yeah.
And Snyder never really dealt with the secret identities. Like, I'm not going to play that game. That game's been played before. It's like Lois, she knows Clark is.
That's what was beautiful about, and a lot of people griped about that. I remember when that came to be. It was like Lois already knows. It's like, well, she Pulitzer Prize winning Lois Lane. It's like, how? Of course, she's going to know who Superman is. I mean,
I want to see that Perry scene where it's like, come on, guys. I know. I know.
He definitely knows.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I realized that Perry knew is when he kind of walked in slowly, hands in his pocket, and he goes, "Still no Kent."
Yeah.
Just the way that he said that, I'm like, I think he knows.
And ordering the helicopter, like he knows.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that was probably a scene that was cut from Justice League, which is just like,
I mean, like there was all this talk about. I mean, Kevin Smith talked about it. That scene where like Clark and Lois go to Perry's apartment. You were supposed to go to Perry's apartment, but I guess like no, not his apartment, his office. And just like Lawrence Fishburne just weren't available. And the idea was they were trying to like confess to him that here's Clark Kent, like I was Superman all along. And he's like, yeah, I know, kid.
Yeah.
But again, like Lawrence Fishburne had not been available during the main production, and for whatever reason, I guess he wasn't available during the additional photography. But like it would have been a nice little moment in that ending montage, but it wasn't there. Yeah,
sadly, the stars in the line. But yeah, I mean, I think, and then like a lot of a big question was always like, how does Clark get back into society? I think we were kind of wondering if they were going to play on that, and we didn't really get that answer, sadly, because we know that he's supposed to be dead, and then all of a sudden we just see the scene where he does this.
I mean, I've long speculated that, like, again, with Perry already knowing that he's Superman, I mean, he would whip out like a perfect cover story for why Clark is around, even though he was reported dead. It's like, we had to fake his death so he could go undercover for a story that we will reveal in the near future.
It'd probably be something like that.
And between Batman and Cyborg, they can recreate a paper trail for it.
That's very true. I didn't think about that. Cyborg could really just like, man, I didn't even think about that. Cyborg could really cover up some shit. He could just
and they can produce, they can produce a body that looks like Clark Kent, but they say was misidentified or something like that. They could figure out ways to fabricate.
I did not even think about that. Yeah, Cyborg. Yeah, even Batman even helping with that. Yeah, that's not too shabby. I like that. Didn't think about that.
Yep.
But yeah, going back to Joker too. Yeah, I mean there's when it comes to what they could do. I even made the joke. I'm like, well, the only time that Todd Phillips actually did a sequel, he pretty much did a carbon copy of the first one, which was The Hangover.
Yeah.
And and it was just like, don't do that this time, please. But I don't think he would actually do that. But at the same time, it's like, if they're in Arkham, he could introduce, like I said, more characters. There's always like, I think even when I did a video back when it came out in 2019, and I said, does it need a sequel? And I said, well, if it does, maybe they would introduce a Harley Quinn character within there. And it's like, yeah, they could do something with that as well. But I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
Well, it's because Harley, the story with Harley always starts out that she's one of the the psychologists at Arkham. Yeah. So connecting that, that would lead right into like the perfect idea for a sequel, since he's locked up in Arkham right now. So she would be the therapist who's assigned to him, and she's the only one that he feels he can connect with. So that would be a good interim, I guess.
I've just always thought that Jared Leto's Joker is the only one that could interact with the Harley.
Exactly.
Joaquin Phoenix. There's a million. Well, if Todd Phillips has a good script, great. But I think he intended it as a one-off. So
he totally did.
Do you think? Here's where I kind of. One, I don't really care one way or the other because I'm one of the few people that didn't actually like Joker personally. So
we're kicking him out. We're kicking him out, guys. No.
Let him be. Let him be. As you all know, I hate Revenge of the Sith, and y'all don't understand why. So
fine.
Well, that's unfortunate because that's
my bigger question is because Todd Phillips has talked about how. They didn't really try to get him in the way of him creatively or anything like that, but they didn't want to give him. They didn't care. They were just like, why? Hamada didn't have any interest in it, and they kept reducing the budget, and he was just like, okay, I can work with that, but and he made the movie anyways. So it kind of makes me wonder, unless they're coming to him saying, hey, look, we think we really want to capitalize on this $1 billion success. Because they lost out on it, realistically. Let's be honest, the first time. So, are they coming to him, and he's like, okay, I got something, or is he just? I'm kind of surprised. It's kind of like, well, you guys didn't believe in me before, so why should I be willing to keep going? But I don't know.
Seriously, that's one of the big blunders of Emmerich. Seriously, and just he's done such a long string of blunders. David Zaslav had better solidify that yes, he's getting the boat. It's a wonder why.
I think it said somewhere that Zaslav's taking over the film division.
I think of anything blowing out your entire 2021 box office by putting it, because he was basically Emmerich and was trying to he's trying to kiss up to HBO Max to get you totally waste Matrix 4 and you waste Dune. Maybe you do the first 6 months, or maybe you do the first 4 months, but that if they don't pull that back, it's going to cost them billions because theaters are coming back.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
That's the thing. It's when it came to all that, I think when they announced that at the end of last year, I think we were all, that was at the time though, we didn't know when anything was going to open. Yes.
Right.
So we were kind of I was going, this seems like the only option here, guys. But now all of a sudden when here we are, when it came to April, May, they started going, okay, things are now looking good. So yeah, they probably should have went, let's try 6 months at first, not a whole year. Let's try this. And yeah, I think it did kind of shoot themselves in the foot, looking at it now.
I wouldn't blame them one bit if they pulled back on it.
Oh, they're going to have to. I think Dune,
they will for 2022 for sure.
Yeah.
Back there.
But I mean, Dune and Matrix 4. I mean, those should bring in some money, and you're giving away on
Matrix 4
HBO
for
Max.
sure. Yeah.
And HBO Max doesn't even have an international release.
Yeah.
Like if HBO Max had a complete and total international release, I could see it, but it's so spotty in parts that it's just a catastrophic for Toby to do. So I don't know how he survives the merger.
Yeah, honestly. I honestly think that when it comes to like when you're compare like Matrix 4 and Dune, like Dune, honestly, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what Denai does with it because I'm currently reading the book, but the book is it's thick. That should have probably been a mini series. I'm just kind of saying, like, it probably would. Well, I don't know. Like,
he's splitting it up. I think.
Is he going to split it up? He should.
Yeah, it is.
They are totally intended on doing multiple and doing the books.
I'm hoping. I gotta say, like, props to Denis Villeneuve for sticking to his guns on this and like being like, no, I don't want my shit to be a service seller. That's absolute bonkers. Yeah. And it's like, no, that dude is wanting his movie released in the way that he wants it. That should be honored. Period.
And I think certain people were trashing Denis and Nolan for taking issue with this.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Oh, there were. Yeah.
So don't mention Garza's name. I mean, sorry. People's name.
I wasn't even thinking.
But that was the other thing.
Love you, Garza. Loved you in Army of the Dead. But what
Zaslav said was, I want to rehabilitate our relationships with our talent. And I mean, that's talking about Zack Snyder, but I mean, it would be Christopher Nolan, Denis Villeneuve, and Zack Snyder. I mean, those got to be 1, 2, and 3, right?
Well, and even going back to like things like
I love it.
I got steak.
Oh man, I was like, is he out there? Is he out there? Oh man. I love it.
Even going back to like, Godzilla, King of Monsters, and Blade Runner 2049, those should have been massive hits. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they were bombs necessarily, but they were not They were not really massive successes the way they should have been. I'm like, who is in charge of the marketing for that? And so, but that's under Emmerich's time.
It's another weird one. Like I thought Detective Pikachu would be a $1 billion
dude
one as well. I'm like, this is a no-brainer, and it didn't hit that either.
And I'll tell you this: like watching Detective Pikachu. Look, our generation was growing up at the time where even if we were not Pokemon fans, we were still familiar with it because it was so big. It was all around us. So. And this movie really, it gave us all fans like me who were not into Pokemon at the time. We could still watch it and follow along because they gave us all the info we needed.
I've had middle school students who are massive Pokemon fans.
Yeah.
So I'm a massive Pokemon fan.
What did you feel? What did they feel about the movie, and what did you feel about the movie, Philip?
Oh, Detective Pikachu. I thought it was. It's a Detective Pikachu movie. I've never played the game, ironically. I've played every other mainstay Pokemon game, but I thought it was fun, and it kind of took some elements from Mewtwo Strikes Back, as it's the most popular Pokemon movie.
Yeah, I never got big into Pokemon really at all, but I figured I like the scene that I like was when they went into the underground. The underground fighting and those I thought they should have went more into that. I thought that was like the strongest when he fights in those underground fights that they had. I thought that was great. I thought that was probably the best scene. And then it just got too cliche oh, these kids are going to break into this super secret, ultra secure facility very easily. It was like, all right, now you're just
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it just got way too tropey after a bit, but I'm like, you should have focused on this part.
Back in the day, the largest selling point of Pokemon was the battles and collecting all the, 150, 250, 386, wherever your preference begins, whatever, and going up against your friends. That was the biggest preference. Personally, if I was making a Pokemon movie, I would do it tournament style. Like you would just pull characters from the manga or pull them from the video games and just have the character moments be within the Pokemon, but within the battles, and have it just all be tournament style, kind of the way maybe Mortal Kombat should have done it. But
I was thinking about that. I'm like, Mortal Kombat.
Another missed opportunity franchise under Emmerich.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'll say this, all that, what you just brought up about, the whole about how the appeal of Pokemon is all that stuff you have to buy up. I was like, That's why I did not get. That's the why I did not get involved in the thing because as a kid I was looking at. I have
it's
to
so
buy
different
all
now.
this shit.
The appeal
No
of
way.
it is so different now. The appeal is massively changed now. It is so much more universal. The Pokemon company, like there's an actual company, Nintendo Game Freak, or like it's just completely different now.
Jeez.
It feels like I have to buy all this. I don't think so.
And I never really followed Pokemon, but it's like, how did that movie not do better?
I know you think it seemed like everything was aligned. I mean, just having Ryan Reynolds as the voice seemed
And again,
perfect.
it's the perfect
Right off
opening.
Deadpool.
Yeah, and it just there were so many things that worked, and then there's just things that just fell flat for me, where I was just kind of going, like I said, it just got way too tropey with like, oh, we got to do this whole blockbuster thing, and then of course they revealed like the twit, or what's that Pokemon's guy's name? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. The dude at the end that shows up in the final act that everybody knows who that is, who plays Pokemon. They showed him in the trailer. They got to stop doing that shit. The trailer thing just gets on my nerves when they reveal a little too much. It's like there's a way to do trailers, and sometimes people, going back to JJ, you go back to that first Cloverfield trailer. That's how you do a teaser right there. That is one of the best examples of how you build up a hype for a new product that nobody has ever like heard of. And I still remember, I will always remember going with my friend Vanessa. We went to go see Transformers, the first Transformers. And when we saw that trailer, when it showed, parties happening, it's all, found footage. Yeah. And then all of a sudden shit goes crazy on the rooftop. You see the explosion, everybody's running. And then you see the Statue of Liberty head, and it just shows a date. And everybody in the theater was going, what the
talking until
for heaven's sake, don't end the trailer with a stupid joke.
Well, that's every fucking Marvel, every MCU trailer. I'm
Yeah.
so tired, and I even suspected, even when I did my reaction to the Eternals, I'm like, don't do it,
And they did.
Yes,
And they did. Like, look, I'm really looking forward to the Eternals, but I was just like, that joke was really unnecessary.
It was just like you know what's gonna happen, and I was like, don't do it.
And then they had the laugh. They just had to laugh. It would have been funnier if it was just straight silence.
Oh no,
but they had to laugh.
Ironically, it was the most action of the entire trailer.
I will say, when it comes to the trailer, I was like, I don't really know. I don't know a lot about
and
the
it's early in it's early in development, so they haven't done that.
I'll give it, the cinematography looks pretty damn good.
I think that's what they're capitalizing on in light of Chloe Zhao's Oscar win, because I haven't seen No Man Land, but everything I've heard about it is like it's shot beautifully.
Yeah,
this is one of the things.
And I'm sure they're still working on the action pieces. So I'm just busting chops.
It also has a pretty stacked cast. Angelina Jolie doesn't.
You're going to sell it on the cast alone, yes.
Yeah,
and I love the song played in the trailer though. I love that song.
Good song choice. Yeah. But for me, it was just like, all right. Didn't really show as much, but I'm like, I'm digging the cinematography. It's good aesthetic. I'm digging that. And then, of course, but yeah, it just, do you have to do the joke at the end when you show the title, and then you have to go right into the joke? It's like you're just constantly beating into the ground that fucking template. Just like
every Marvel trailer.
Yes. And
I wonder it's not just wait for it to happen for Spider-Man. It's going to happen.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. It's going to happen.
Oh, man.
Seriously, you want to do jokes in the trailer to the very beginning, like Venom 2.
Speaking of that, I was kind of going, oh, man. I don't know how you guys felt about the Venom 2 trailer. I was kind of...
To be fair, Dave, have you checked out the actual the classic Venom comics? Because that's
I get it, but at the same time, it was just kind of, I don't know. I think it was just, I had it in my head of like, okay, we got Andy Serkis, we got Carnage, and I'm kind of going, where are they going to take? Where's this aesthetic going to be with? What's it going to be like? And I think when it started off with just this whole bit, I went, damn it! I was like,
Venom. Venom's got
I know.
Zany humor.
I know.
Intense action, zany humor. That's Venom.
The comics more of Carnage, and I don't know.
I think I wanted it to start off. I think I wanted it to be more of a. I mean, I get it. There's going to be those elements, and I do want the elements of, with Eddie and Venom interacting. I get that, but it's just, I don't know. It just
There's
seemed
a lot.
It just seemed too much like a bit, making breakfast, and and then it's just.
I love that moment.
I will
don't know
say
what you're talking about.
that breakfast
Like,
looks
credits,
absolutely scrumptious.
Yeah, it does.
But I don't disagree with either one of you.
Okay, what were we gonna say, Darren?
I think I expected the trailer to kind of be in the same tone with the mid-credit scene on the last movie.
See, that's what I wanted it to be like a little bit more like. Are we gonna like it? Because it is called, Let There Be Carnage. I was like, is there gonna be more of like a more, hey, let's revolve more around the Carnage stuff like that? I mean, I get it. There's gonna be those elements, and I don't know. I think I just kind of wanted that a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, Carnage looks good. I'll give it that. The CGI, a lot of the stuff, it's looking good. I'm still gonna watch it, of course, but the fact that it started off with a bit of cooking breakfast and singing and blah blah blah. It's just
where all this is going. The whole Sony Marvel.
Yeah. No, I'm intrigued. I'm still in, but I was just a little like, I just didn't like the way that it started off. I don't know.
I feel like Carnage could be maybe a little bit lighter red because he feels really crimson.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I like that Woody Harrelson's in the role of Cletus.
Yeah.
I mean, that's straight out of Natural Born Killers, like crazy ass serial killer being Carnage. I'm like,
oh yeah, you can't go wrong with Woody. I'm just glad they fixed the hair,
Ronald McDonald wig. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I was not digging. I was not digging that carrot top wig that they put him in. I was like,
last minute thing.
Yeah, they probably saw people like go, that doesn't. And they're like, all right, well, we could work with it. He got a haircut or something like that. We could do something because it was just way too, I mean, it's always a little jarring anytime you see Woody Harrelson in a piece because we know what's going on up there. But we know he could rock it. We know he could rock it, though. Like, he rocks the bald look really well. So when he has a piece on, we kind of just go, oh, well, Woody Harrelson, he's yeah. So it kind of, and that was just outrageous. That was absolutely outrageous.
He's in the Bruce Willis club.
Oh yes, anytime Bruce Willis, he gets a piece on, you're like, whoa, hey, wait a minute, jeez, not like no, but where was I going to go with this? Okay,
I have a question for you, Dave.
Okay.
So since Aaron Taylor Johnson has just been cast as Kraven the Hunter, so I wonder if they're trying to culminate in like Kraven the Hunter coming aboard to like some specific location where you have Spider-Man, Morbius, Venom, and Carnage, and Kraven's like mission or bounty to kill all of them.
I think that would be the case because I mean. We're when it comes to, and it's so weird too because of the
Sony Marvel situation.
Yes, exactly. It's very strange when it comes to that. But at the same time, I'm hoping that they're trying to just go, hey, we got done with our big Infinity saga. Okay. We no longer have Iron Man, Captain America. I mean, we have a new Captain America. Cool. You could do whatever you want with that. We're done with all of that. Now, when it comes to Spider-Man, I mean, Spider-Man, that's one of the biggest IPs in the world. Okay. So let's just freaking go full force.
Yep.
And, let's, like you said, Phil, just let's get to that point where we're going to have the next big, huge epic is going to be Spider-Man centric. I have no qualms with that. And then even if you have other characters involved, your Daredevil, your whoever wants to be, fine with me, but I think they should go full force into this Spideyverse. I really think they should. Like, that's got to be. I mean, we've already touched bases with it. I mean, ever since 2002, we've already. You might as well just do it. So yeah, I think they should go that route. Make the next huge, big, like big ass movie. Let it be Spider-Man centric. It's a huge IP.
I just question if Tom Holland is Sony's Spider-Man. Against Mobius, Venom, and like maybe it's Andrew Garfield and Miles Morales.
Yeah, because I was wondering about that because look, in like the MCU, the Daily Bugle is an online news commentary thing, but in the Carnage trailer, you see the Daily Bugle and it looks like the New York Post.
Well, it actually looks very much like the Daily Bugle logo in Raimi's Spider-Man, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And also remember on the set photos of Morbius on the bus.
Yes.
Where is Spider-Man?
Mhm.
And
That
the
was
logo from the Raimi trilogy.
yep.
So it's almost like they're retconning so that Spider-Man 3 did not exist, which
Well,
is
no, here's the
good.
thing. If Venom is a symbiote, then there very well could have been two of the similar kinds of symbiotes to fall from that
Exactly.
Two
world.
Venoms,
So
You could play with that. You could play with that.
Two
There's
Venoms.
some leeway.
Eddie Brock's not a universal. Eddie Brock's not a single name compared to, or not sorry, compared, but Eddie Brock is not exclusive to one person. That
Yeah.
name. So
okay. All I can say
Actually,
is, like, if they're
Topher
doing
Grace
the
is not Eddie
multiverse
Brock.
with the new Spider-Man 3, I want to see Tom Hardy's Venom taking on this pseudo Venom from the old Spider-Man 3 and says, hey, wussy, we are real Venom. And then beats the crap out of him. Just to make that point. Like that, whatever it was not true Venom.
I mean, you could definitely do like have a Godzilla Wars-esque battle of like, you have Zilla versus traditional Godzilla, and then you have like Tom Hardy's Venom eat, Topher Grace's Venom and be the King Superior one.
That'd be
He
hilarious.
probably would not be full because Topher Grace is a little lean.
Exactly.
But no, yeah. But I think they need to lean heavily into their Spideyverse here, because Into the Spideyverse really was something magical and they could capitalize on. I mean, obviously we're getting into the Spideyverse too. God knows what they have in store for us. But I mean, we already know they're bringing back, what's his name, who did the 90s voice,
Christopher Daniel. I thought that was debunked.
Was it debunked?
Yeah,
I
I thought John Semper came out and said that was not true.
Oh man, that disappoints me, because when I think of when I'm reading a Spider-Man comic, I'm hearing that voice.
Christopher Daniel Barnes.
Yeah, I grew up watching those cartoons. So when I'm hearing like the Spidey sarcasm and talking, I'm thinking that voice more than anybody else.
And the directors aren't Lord and Miller anymore, so
that's right.
It's a couple different people now.
It's like three people.
I hope Lord and Miller have their influence and
I'm sure they will.
cues.
I think I think they're still doing the script. I don't really.
And that's fine, but I just want to make sure that. I mean, the first one was an Oscar award winner. I mean, it was awesome.
Right.
Just keep it in the same, theme. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think the last rumor I heard about that was that they were considering using the Spot as a villain. That was the last rumor I heard.
Okay. Interesting. That'd be a way to go. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but like I said, it just all needs to be. They just need to lean into it. So, and like I said, with Craven and it is kind of weird though. It's like, well, I mean, you did cast a character who was already in the MCU at one point. I mean, who cares? I mean, I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. Cool, good for him. I think he's going to pull it off. It's going to be something interesting.
It's crazy how big he is now. I didn't even recognize him at the end of Tenet.
That's inspired casting.
Like he was a monster with the beard, and I'm like, it was after the fact I found out that it was him, and I'm like, holy crap!
That's why they kept him anyway, despite being cast before. I mean, because he doesn't look like he did. So there you go.
He was real skinny as Kick-Ass, and then he was
Quicksilver,
and then he was a monster in Tenet. It was like, all right, Craven.
Oh, I'm
down.
That's absolutely inspired casting. I have no doubt in my mind that Aaron Taylor Johnson's going to do a great job as Craven.
I mean, he's a monster.
Yeah, but it was just kind of interesting that they would, it's always when they cast, people that have been already in that world. I kind of just go like, why was there nobody else in mind? But then at the same time, I'm going, all right, but I think he's still gonna hopefully nail it. I'm sure he is.
What comes out first, the third Spider-Man movie or Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness?
Third Spider-Man movie.
Spider-Man, yeah.
Okay. So I think between those two movies, I think those are going to give us a lot of clues as far as where this whole thing is going to go and how they're going to incorporate.
Yeah, let's hope we don't get Ralph Boner back.
By the way, I got such a kick like when they finally announced the lineup for Phase 4. I got such a kick out of the fact that the very last film in Phase 4 is Fantastic Four.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
But,
I love that.
For God's sakes, can everybody stop asking John Krasinski and Emily Blunt if they're going to be in it? You know what? Emily Blunt has finally put the kibosh on that. We saw that interview, which of course ended up being like an interview back in like 2020. But still, I mean, she even said that she does not really even like those movies, and she would not want to be. I mean, as much as we would love it, no.
And that's ironic because, like, obviously, like, she and Amy Adams, of course, have been great friends since Sunshine Cleaning, and of course, there was a time when Emily Blunt like thought she would not be available to do a Quiet Place, so Amy was going to fill in for her. But then Emily was oh yeah, I'm available after all, Amy, and Amy's like, okay, and she backs up. So, and I could just imagine like Amy and Emily having this conversation over like, Amy's like, so would you want to do Sue Storm? He's like, no, I hate that stuff. It's like, what are you talking about?
I find it kind of funny that her tune has changed since the Iron Man 2 days when she was being considered for Black Widow.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Kind of
she
funny.
was considered for Black Widow at one point. I mean, wasn't she also considered for Captain Marvel at one point too?
That was a rumor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which in my opinion, I'm just saying. I mean, you know what? Nothing against Brie Larson. You know,
I got my Captain Marvel in WandaVision. I'm happy.
I mean,
I don't hate it like you do, Dave, but I cannot put my finger on why it doesn't hook me. Like it's when I watch it, I'm like,
Carrie, I got you.
It's a filler episode.
When your supporting characters are the most interesting thing in your movie.
Are you talking about Captain Marvel?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Okay. When your supporting characters, i.e., the Skrulls, are the most important and interesting thing in your movie, as opposed to your main character, you done screwed up somewhere.
Yeah. There's something bad in the writing, right?
The MCU is a television product, and Captain America was a filler episode.
Oh, Captain Marvel. Yeah.
I only go back to it when I'm doing like a MCU rewatch, and other outside of that, like if I'm just doing like an Infinity War to Endgame rewatch, I just go to the end credits scene to fill in that gap. You know, go to the end where the Avengers are looking at Fury's pager, and then Captain Marvel shows up the compound.
And even that scene kind of contradicts what happens in Endgame, doesn't it? Because like suddenly Captain Marvel shows up and says, "Where's Fury?" But then in Endgame, the situation is completely different.
I think with Captain Marvel, there's like a big disconnect in chemistry between like you have your main character in Captain Marvel played by Brie Larson and Carol Danvers, and you have the directing duo Bowden and Fleck. But then you look at the past of the MCU, you've got Scott Derrickson and Benedict Cumberbatch, awesome chemistry. You have Ryan Coogler and Chadwick Boseman. My God, shame on me. You know, you have all of these Pat and John Favreau and Robert Downey Jr. You've got John Watts and Tom Holland. Like you have all of these past just really great hit after hit after hit after hit. And then you get to Captain Marvel and it's like, okay, Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. What are Anna Boden and Fleck doing with that? Like, what did they do with that?
Yeah. I mean,
it's weird because when I try to look at it objectively, I'm like, it's not doing anything weird that I would object to necessarily. It doesn't do anything that rubs me the wrong way personally. It's just, and I was like, it's got all the factors of, at least for me, things I feel like I should and really like and love, but for some reason it just isn't clicking for me. And
I'm a child of the 90s. I should be like loving this movie.
I love the music as much as was probably my favorite part of it. Yeah.
I mean, there's some good music choices. Some good little callbacks to like 90s and stuff, but it's just, I think I have not rewatched it. I watched it once in the theater and that was it. That's all I needed. I think the whole fucking, the alien cat scratching Nick Fury's eye, that was such a letdown because it was like, dude, really? That's the way that.
And they open Winter Soldier like some big epic thing happened to Nick Fury.
Oh, I know. When he talks about it there, it's like, somebody I trust, and stuff. And like, you trusted a cat. It's like
that was so cool in Winter Soldiers. Like you get to see the eye patch lifted.
Oh,
like,
dude!
Oh man, what a badass! Something cool must have happened.
Badass scene where he just shows up, and then of course he's just like, oh yeah, this is how I'm gonna get into this shit, and he fucking lifts it up, and it's just,
Marvel only hires like these new directors, like these not well-known directors, because they'll say yes, sure. But like,
yes,
yes, and no. Yeah. I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, I think it's
only the biggest director they've had is working on it. Has it?
But they do have Raimi on
Doctor Strange too.
Like the first
I think that's the biggest deal with Feige and DC. It's like any situations happen on the front end. And so you can get big directors if you agree to everything beforehand, but there's no micromanaging after that. And so that's the success of Feige. He doesn't do this shit after, but Patty Jenkins got fired from Thor 2 and stuff like that, but it doesn't happen on the back end after you've already filmed a movie.
Right.
So they got Sam Raimi on Doctor Strange 2, which is a big get. But I know what you're saying. Like, I don't know if they're going to have more big directors.
It's true. I know, but I know what you're saying. I kind of suspected that too. It's like, I mean, do they hire them on because they'll just be like, hey, when I suggest something, you're going to go, yes, sir, yes, sir, Kevin, sir.
I think they look for, the main thing I've heard is that they basically go with whoever has the best pitch, or whoever, when they say, hey, here's what we're thinking for, like, I don't know, Black Panther, whatever. And then they interview 2 or 3 or 4 different directors, and then whoever takes their idea and Marvel's idea and pluses it and comes back with something better, then they say, okay, that's who we're gonna go with. But I think they do go for people who are younger and up and coming. I mean, like, Coogler was already on. I mean, Coogler is one of their biggest gets for sure.
Yeah, he's coming off of Creed,
and he obviously loves being there. Like, so nothing about what he wants to do is being compromised. They're obviously pretty simpatico so far. So
Taika Waititi.
I mean, as much as I thought Jojo the Rabbit was a pretty damn good movie,
I still haven't seen that one. So,
it's actually pretty good. It's when that was Oscar season happening, I watched and I'm like, okay, see, Taka, you are. I mean, this is pretty damn. When it came to Thor Ragnarok,
and I was so surprised.
Dave, you watch
episode at the very end of Mandalorian season 1. I was so surprised at how serious it was.
Yeah,
I was expecting it to be a stupid comedy like Ragnarok was, but then like he does his share of the bad of bad Taika Waititi jokes at the very beginning with those 2 stormtroopers, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And the rest of the episode is good and dramatic, and it's like, oh, you actually can do good drama when you care.
What were we gonna say, Doug?
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you don't like Ragnarok, what we do in the shadows, the movie and the TV show on FX is taking a lot of TV.
Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard it's really great. Yeah,
it's
heard the same.
It's like the real world with vampires, and it's just stupid humor, but
on the list.
It's not Thor and these gods. It's hilarious.
Well, I think I mean, when it comes to Ragnarok, I mean, I get it, but I just don't like it. Like I get it because Thor was like the weakest when it came to which is kind of funny because he's really strong.
They definitely. I like it, but they definitely swung the pendulum way too far to the other end.
Oh yeah. I mean, and there's some great visuals in there. I mean, like when Valkyrie is talking about what happened, and those visuals are pretty damn. I mean, fucking awesome. I mean, the way that style is great.
Yeah, for me, like the worst moment in the whole movie is that when they're looking at Asgard like blowing up, and then it's like, and then at first like Waititi's character, like Craig, is like, he's like giving like an inspirational speech, like the foundations are strong, they will still be, and then blows up. Nope, foundation's gone. And I'm like,
That's the typical Marvel. Get rid of a serious moment to put a joke in there.
Yeah.
Well, I think, and when it came to Ragnarok, they were just like full force. All right, full force.
I was just not a fan of. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think it kind of goes back to, I can't remember where I heard this, but like sometime after Age of Ultron, Chris Hemsworth was just sort of like, I'm dying with what you guys are doing with Thor here, like because he's such a charismatic actor, like so he's funny too. So I think they were just like, okay, we're gonna redo Thor to really let Hemsworth off the chain and let him be like funny, when the character is not. I don't know if the character's funny in the comics or not. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I really don't know. But there's a better balance to be had for sure. There's a way you can have fun with him. Let Chris Hemsworth show off his comedic chops like they did in Infinity War. So
Infinity War was the perfect balance to Ragnarok.
As far as Thor goes.
that was bad.
I mean, Thor was a badass in Infinity War.
Yeah,
which I love.
Yeah, it was definitely.
And he is funny. He's like, you know, when he's talking to Rocket and says, he's never fought me. Rocket's like, yeah, he's never fought me twice.
Yeah. No, he's got some.
Right.
Yeah, it's nice and balanced. But I think what was funny is when they announced Thor Ragnarok. I mean, just look at that original logo. I mean, everybody was kind of going, "Oh, this is going to be like some, you know, it's going to be Viking, like, you know, just." I mean, look at that. It's like Middle Earth, like type style font, and then all of a sudden it got rechanged, and it's like, oh, it's like 80s arcade game. It's like, all right, this is going to be something. It's going to be a different tone. It's not going to be the tone that we thought it was going to be. And then right off the bat, too, I mean, that opening scene where he's like literally hanging there, and then he's like, and then it literally just it gets to the point where he's like, you know, it's like, oh, hold on, let me spin around before I can talk to you. You know, it's like
5 times.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, this is getting old. This should be more of a serious moment. I mean, with everything that's happening on screen right now.
I thought Thor Ragnarok was going to be kind of like the vision he had in Age of Ultron.
It was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I think that's where Joss Whedon was trying to take it. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that name. I know that's a that's a bad. Yeah.
Cue the Jody's Corner clip.
Oh, I know. I should have said. I should have had that ready to go. You know,
Dave,
I believe Joss Whedon.
Dave, I was going to say the best you've ever referred to Joss is like
that.
I was just saying the best you've ever referred to Joss was like, you ginger fuck.
Yeah, I know. I think I've called him that many times. Yeah.
What do y'all think about the Flash scene where he reversed time was the first thing that Warner Brothers took out of
yeah, good topic here. I'll let you guys. I'm gonna get another drink.
I will counter with they sold most of the production cost of Joker. Like, horrible freaking decision. Like,
they why understand it?
Like, you've got this low budget film, even if you don't believe in it, it's gonna make money because it's got Joaquin Phoenix, and everybody who's ever played the Joker has gotten credit, and it or watched the film, and it killed them. It just it's just another terrible decision. To answer your question,
and what I get is, okay, you have this Chinese superstar, Ryan Zhang, like in it as Dr. Ryan Choi, and okay, that's obviously a great opportunity to put Chinese butts in seats and like get some great Chinese box office. And what happens? They cut them out.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say what I said on Twitter in regards to like Whedon putting in that sequence and cutting it out and just putting it in as the end. Joss Whedon's a clown.
Straight up. We can all agree with that.
It's just the executives at Warner. Okay, the only way, and this is minor. So I'm not actually giving the executives a benefit of the doubt. But if I were to, I would say maybe that sequence was a lot of just previs and storyboards, so they weren't really seeing it. But I'm going to say, so that's the only. But I just think most of the executives at Warner Bros. just don't have a creative bone in their body, and just do not understand when directors are trying. We don't know who's who on any of these things, but I keep thinking, like, isn't this the same people that told, like, theoretically, this is the same people that told Patty Jenkins to cut out the No Man's Land sequence?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I know.
So I don't know who's who over there. But like, that's just another example of, like, they just don't understand creative decisions on films and stuff, that like the more fantastical kind of stuff, and like why certain moments are like linchpin plot moments, or like, whatever. Like, they just.
I mean, you do bring up a good point.
Story.
You do bring up a good point about the fact that, like, maybe previs and no score, because obviously that score that Junkee put on was put on later. So I can maybe understand that maybe when they saw it as, barely anything, they were like, "What the fuck is this?" But at the same time, it's like, pick up a comic book.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Go ahead, Darren. Darren has something. Hold on, Darren. I kept seeing him. Go ahead, Darren.
They cut it out because they didn't understand it. But at the same time, they have the guy who wrote Flashpoint as the executive producer sitting there. So why didn't he step in and say,
You know what,
Ego.
Derek? You know what's so funny about that? That dude not only wrote Flashpoint, that dude wrote Infinite Crisis with Maxwell Lord in it. You know what else he wrote? Wonder Woman 1984.
I know. It's very odd. Like, what the hell is Mr. Ballcap guy going like? Was he just kind of going like, no?
I'm sorry. There must have been a flip where he saw a grab for power, so he started thinking smaller, and we got to do like Marvel, and we got to do this and not take chances and things like that, because he wrote the storyboards for Snyder.
I know.
He admitted that, and Snyder goes, "Hey, you know who wrote it? Jeff Johns," and that's the only time he has ever mentioned that name.
That was hilarious
and
too.
Jeff Johns is a creative guy, but I think he just got so blinded by power that he's like, "We got to do like Marvel. We can't take any risks. We can't do this stuff."
Yeah,
and like, forget the previs, forget the like music, which is awesome and contributes to that moment. But if you think about the dialogue, hey guys, hey dad, I want you to remember I was one of the best of the best. Like, I was on the team. Like, even if this all goes to hell, I was on that team. And it's like, that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like it's the best. Anyway, bad decisions all around.
It was a bad decision. And then the fact that like, where was I going to go with that? Damn, I totally forgot exactly. I think like when it comes to Jeff Johns, I'm just kind of like, you want to like, was it all just like an ego thing and there was just something that I don't know if there was like something against Snyder. I don't know. It always boggles my mind, but
Snyder was the impediment to him becoming the ultimate Kevin Feige. I think that was it.
It could have been that.
Dick.
I know, right? And again, it's like these guys, like they don't have a creative bone in their body, but you'd think they have a good business sense. So why would they want to cut Dr. Ryan Choi? Because that actor is a Chinese superstar. So why cut him out and sacrifice the box office?
Well, I mean, like I've said many times, it's like, these. When even going to the Ray Fisher stuff in the conversation where it's just like when they talked about, we can't have our story revolve around an angry black man. And so they're so worried about that being portrayed as racist that they overcorrect and then they end up looking even more racist. It's like, because you're cutting out storylines of people of color. And it's just, it looks way worse than what you were worried about in the first place.
The shit that drives me crazy about Jeff Johns and the cyborg thing is that he called Ray Fisher to brag. He's like, "Hey, we got Cyborg in a Doom Patrol," I think Ray said that on one of his Instagram lives, and I'm like, "Holy shit!" And people haven't talked about that because it wasn't documented in one of the big stories. But I'm like, that is just him going out of his way to be a dick.
Yeah,
he's like, "Hey, man, we beat you to being Cyborg," and it's like, why would you ever do that as a professional, as an editor? Like, Feige's not doing that shit. And you want to be Feige? Like, that is horrible.
Well said. Like, as Jeff Johns, you're like the DC Superboy, and you have like the audacity to call up Cyborg's very first live action actor and gloat at the fact that you have a new actor playing the same character on a streaming service. Like, dude, as soon as I heard that, I swore I will never buy another Jeff Johns comic, and I haven't bought one since The Killing Joke, and I'm not going to buy Batman Earth 1 Volume 3. Like, Jeff Johns has lost all respect.
He's tainted all that.
Yeah, I will never buy another book from him, period, ever again.
I don't have any of his stuff, but I am dragging my feet. Okay, I get that Flashpoint was an inspiration for the Snyderverse, and I get that Superman: The Secret Origins was part-time inspiration for like Man of Steel in a way, but like I don't want to get him because of the attached to him.
Yeah. No, it's hard. I mean, it's even funny too, because even going back to, like my source to Snyder that I had for a while, he even said like, because I would always ask him like, what exactly was going on? He's like, let's just put it this way. I will never buy a Jeff Johns comic book ever again. He told me that. He told me that back in like 2018, and it was just like shit. He's like, yeah, Doomsday Clock, not gonna buy it. And I was like, all right. I'm like, I guess I'll okay. I was like,
Three Jokers, no.
Yeah. I've heard Three Jokers, and I've heard good and bad. It's weird when it comes to Three Jokers.
That was the last book I bought from him, and it
wasn't good. Yeah,
I didn't like. I like the art. I think Fabok and Anderson are great at what they do. Truthfully, Jeff Johns wrote a mediocre Batman Joker story, in my opinion. That story it has a lot of elements that did not land well with me. The Joker elements of it just feel really just tacked on and uninspired. Just all of it is just it's Jeff Johns being his tropey comic book writer self.
If I can correct myself a bit, I do have one comic that was partly written by Jeff Johns. It was the Thy Kingdom Come storyline. It was where the Kingdom Come Superman crossed over to the main universe, and the comic that Jeff Johns wrote was the one where he talked with Lex. I'm reading this, and like, there's such good potential for this interaction where he tells her what happened to his Lois, but it's just the dialogue is just so poorly written. I got it. Ugh.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Johns does not so good with the dialogue. I mean, we've heard many times, even from Zach, that he was getting fed. I even tried to. The last time that Zach was on, I think I don't know, what's the last time? I don't know. I think I even brought up the fact that they were trying to feed Zach funny lines for Barry to say, and literally one of them was that he referred to himself as Lightning Lad.
Dave, can you unpack that more? Can you kind of go back? Can you say anything more about what you
know? I mean, so basically what it was is like, I guess there was an actual sequence where they were driving on that bus or whatever the hell. I think it was a bus, right? Like a little small bus or whatever.
Cargo van.
Yeah. And Barry was essentially just going like he hadn't had the Flash name yet. We know this. Like the Flash was not his name yet. He does not have a name yet. So he's talking to Arthur and going like, "Well, you're Aquaman because water, and you're a man. So I'm young, and so maybe I should be called Lightning Lad."
Yeah, and when Arthur says, "How about Motor Mouth?"
I wouldn't be surprised if that was, but yeah, apparently that was something that was fed, and Zach was just like, "Okay." I mean, I guess I could record it, but
so Zach filmed that scene, but it was just like, and he said everyone else loved it, and he was just like, "This is
well, it's the same thing."
Just
like I said,
flag that shit.
When I hear you talk to Fish, I mean,
that
was in the first trailer, so everybody was kind of going, "Was that Zach?" No.
So it's even. Where is the line? Is it in the Justice League where Bruce says, "I hear you can point me the way to Atlantis"?
Yeah.
That's in one of the trailers at least, but even that didn't make it into the Snyder Cut.
That wasn't in the trailers. That was
when he says send the message out in the Fish community or something like that. It was just like, what are you doing?
It's so funny because it's like, hey, do you guys realize that Aquaman is a joke? He's been a joke for a while. I mean, like, if you read the comic books, obviously they've done like, service there. But when it comes to like, I mean, how many times have we seen jokes on like Family Guy or any kind of other cartoon where they just, I mean, fucking Big Bang Theory, they've made a joke out of Aquaman. And what did Zach try to do? South Park, yeah. Yeah. I mean, but Zach was going, all right, first off, we're going to cast Jason Momoa. Okay, so first off, you kind of go, whoa, oh, all right, that's going to shake up a lot of things. And then he didn't want to turn him into some kind of joke, but then they were still trying to fucking make him as this joke, like, I hear you talk to Fish, or
well, that's exactly because when the New 52 launched, and Johns did his Aquaman run, the very first issue is all the commentary on, does Aquaman talk to Fish and all that kind of stuff. And so Johns leaned into it, but then also pivoted to show that he is a badass too. So I think Johns is like, well, I informed this character, so I'm gonna make sure I get some of my handprint on him in the movie.
The biggest irony of that is that was the last good book he actually wrote.
True.
Can you imagine the type of lines they was telling Affleck to put in his script?
Yeah.
Wasn't Jeff Johns supposed to be helping him write his?
It was Jeff, and it was Toby. I think it was me, a little bit of Berg maybe too. Like, I mean, that's
what
what's
pushed him out the door, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's why. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why Warner Brothers is like, man, fuck Zack Snyder, because we told him to shoot this kind of movie, and yeah, he did, but he also shot the movie that we didn't want him to shoot, or I don't know exactly why they just. It's so frustrating, but at the same time, this is why Zach is awesome, because he was like, all right, yeah, I'll do that, but then
I just hope when the merger takes place, there's somebody that's been looking at all this from like the last 5
years. I'm sure.
I hope so.
You can't tell me that Discovery and David Zaslav, whatever, didn't see all the hype, didn't see all this, that, and this. I mean, everybody saw that 1.5 million restore the Snyderverse. I mean, I'm sitting there going like, Dwayne Johnson saw that, and I'm going, hey, Rock, what's going on? You need to kind of capitalize on this. Maybe get Cavill, your boy, who's also represented by your same manager. Get him in your movie. Maybe you had some tequila with him a while ago.
I don't care who you are, but if you're coming into the situation, you see 250, 300 million views in China, that's going to blip on your radar. If you're brand new,
more than that, I think too.
Yeah.
I think it's
like 410. I think now.
Yeah,
410.
Yeah.
Like that it was huge.
I saw it was 410.
That's going to drive. That's going to raise some questions. I mean, there's no doubt.
It did better streaming than. I mean, obviously we obviously we could take account of like box office, but when it comes to strictly streaming, it beat out Endgame and Infinity War. I mean,
but are those pay-per-views or is that a subscription?
I'm not sure how it works, because China, obviously, when it comes to their government, they really stranglehold the internet.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know the whole logistics, but I know like that's like their main thing, and just the fact that it got that many streams, and it's just like, I mean, come on, man. I mean, how do you know
who you are? That's going to blip on the radar.
Right.
Yes. So I'm just like, hey, why is like, Dwayne, come on. I mean, you have a lot of pull, and I've even heard little murmurs that maybe like, that he was not happy with like what Warner Brothers was actually doing and everything. So, but at the same time, I'm kind of going, okay, but
producing this movie.
Yeah, it's like kind of, well, it's literally being caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. Is it true that Hamada's name isn't attached to Black Adam?
No, they updated that.
It is. Oh, it is. Yeah, I was about to say, I'm
Black Adam and the Flash.
Yeah, I know. That's what sucks too about like some of these future movies coming out. It's like, we're so we're damaged goods, guys. When it comes to DC fans, we're so just like, we want content. We want more of this stuff, but at the same time, we hate what we've heard when it comes to some of these people. And it sucks that Hamada his name is like attached to like the Batman or Black Adam or something like that. When we know like these are looking like they're going to be really strong and really good movies.
I know, like in order for the Snyderverse to continue, those 3 have to be gone. But what if Toby was just the only one that left? Like, because he's the one that's obviously calling the shots.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it's just Tony, like we don't need the other 2 to go. I mean, it would be convenient, sure, but it's not necessary, because really, it's just those 2 were just adhering to him because he was the Mr. Experience, and they were new guys.
I look at them as they're just the puppets. They're his puppets.
So
I think Toby's telling people no more Zach, and so no more Zach. So if somebody came in to Warner Brothers and said, "Hey, let's talk to Zach," Walter would be like, "Hey, let's talk to Zach," and he would probably fix things with Ray really quick.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's just sad because I mean, look what's happening over at Netflix now with Zach. They are just totally just like going, this is our golden boy. It almost seems like Army of the Dead. I mean, they're projecting it's going to be just so huge after 4 weeks, and they're giving them. I mean, even before all the before the first movie came out, they gave him a prequel. They gave him a prequel anime series. I mean, they knew, they saw the potential. I mean, that's one of the things. I'm actually going to be doing like a full-on video about it, like talking about Warner Brothers versus Netflix. I mean, what Zack Snyder has created for himself, and this is what's so great about it. This is how smart he is, even though he went through like a really, a horrible situation when it came to all this. But now that he's back, he's like almost better than ever. And he's smart enough, him and his team, you know, Debbie involved too, everybody kind of goes, okay, how do, you know, look at what we have over here and look at where your name is. I mean, his name is so marketable now. Everybody, you hear Zack Snyder, like, oh, whoa, fucking Zack Snyder. That's why I even said, like, you know, the fact that he put his name right in front of Justice League. I mean, fucking balls, man, balls that he did just to be like, call it Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean,
which is another Army of the Dead's another thing that WB passed on. So that's another thing that Discovery is going to be looking at. They're going to see Army of the Dead's blowing up, and then somebody's going to say, "Well, why'd y'all pass on this?"
Yeah, exactly. And then Netflix is going, oh, yeah, we're going to throw everything. I mean, have you seen Netflix market a movie like they've done Army of the Dead? No. This movie's been marketed like fucking crazy because they see that Zack Snyder he's almost got it's getting to the equivalent of fucking old George Lucas days of a fan base and people just going, hey, we back this guy up. Whatever he's got to offer and whatever universe he's making, we're going to be there. And it's showing.
You know, it's funny. The big differences between like George Lucas and Zack Snyder is, you know, George Lucas had the luxury of having Lucasfilm and being able to create, you know, Star Wars and all this, right? But Zack Snyder, he doesn't necessarily have a Star Wars. He's open to create whatever he wants, and the first thing he does out the gate now just happens to be Army of the Dead. Just wait until you get, you know, once COVID really slows down in South America, you get Horse Latitudes, his sci-fi epic inspired by.
Which is going to be like a Star Wars type,
right?
I just want to see his Justice League 2, the Nightmare World. I just want to see it.
I know. How do you not want to see?
And also, Discovery's going to throw this at him. But again, because he's got all his projects that he's going to direct, I can say like it's fairly a given that it's going to be the remainder of his arc is going to be in series format. And Zach is going to be the overseer, but who will have directors directing the episodes.
I would be fine as long as we get
or just he can produce a couple things in the meantime, and he ramps up for Justice League 2 and 3.
I've said that many times too. And then he even on when he was on the Vodka stream, he talked about what like the prequel to Army of the Dead is supposed to be 8 episodes or 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he directed the first and the last. Jay Leva did 2 and 5, and then 2 other directors. It's like, that's what would happen if it came to Justice League 2 and 3.
He's pretty much John Favreau.
Imagine Justice League 2 and 3. You have Ben Affleck could direct an episode.
Oh man, stop talking dirty right now. Oof.
You can have Mike directed an episode like so much.
David Ayer.
James
like
Wan.
The episode focusing on Diana going back to Themyscira. Patty could direct that episode.
Rick Famuyiwa.
Rick Famuyiwa. Guillermo del Toro could do one of the Nightmare episodes.
I'm telling you, I mean, there's so much potential there. There's just so much, and that's why I keep on saying that. It's like, I mean, you know, it doesn't have to 100% be Zach, but he is the captain. But at the same time, you know, he's got so much other things going on.
He wouldn't 100% be him, but his fingerprints would be all over it.
Yeah, it would be his arc. It's his arc. It's his storyboard, you know? And the fact that he has not shown that last storyboard that is where it would. I mean, he knows that he's holding. It's almost like he's holding that for ransom because it's like, hey, if this continues, I'm not going to. I mean, I showed you all those other storyboards. But I got this last one that actually was going to happen. I'm not going to show you that because that's going to be it.
In which Clark is the father, by the way.
Huh?
In which Clark is the father, by the way.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Clark is the father.
The
one thing the one thing I would kind of like on that, as far as like the Clark and Lois's child not having powers, that's the one I'm kind of like, I mean, I get the making a Batman and kind of bringing that aspect full circle. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But like, I was like, I don't know. I would prefer the child. What's the whole point? I mean, I'm still hoping there's more to mine from the codex being in Clark's cells. And that's got to have a factor in his offspring somehow.
If you continue the story, it makes sense that he has powers because you can explore that. If you don't continue the story, it makes sense that he doesn't have powers.
I feel like if anything, the perfect way to reconcile all of that is that look, it took Clark until he was 10 or so before he started getting powers. But because baby Bruce Kent is born on Earth, it just takes him longer to start manifesting powers. And because he's half Kryptonian, his powers would be less full-on Kryptonian like Clark. They would be more half and half, much more like Bruce Willis in Unbreakable, where he's stronger.
But you know what? But you know what's actually, I mean, what actually touches on this a little bit is Superman and Lois, because they do have two teenage kids who are all of a sudden, you know, I mean, there's a whole thing that happens with these kids. One of them really is like going, "What the hell?" Yeah. And then the other is going, "Where are my?" You know, so they do touch on that. I mean, I will say
that dynamic.
Yeah. Go ahead, Darren.
All right, I gotta say I had a couple more things I want to say, and I gotta go. But,
okay.
I haven't watched Superman and Lois yet, but if you can tell that they're pulling the style of that show from Snyder,
100%, dude.
and also getting back to Clark and Lois having the baby. Have y'all ever read that comic? It's an Elseworld story where the Waynes found Clark instead of the Kents.
Yes, Speeding Bullets. Speeding Bullets, one of the best Elseworld stories of all.
Okay,
he grows up
check that out.
The Superman.
That's a fun one.
So that's actually pretty interesting. Check that out if you haven't read it.
Yeah, I haven't. I'll have to definitely check that out. Sounds interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been watching Superman and Lois as well. It's
I mean, it's not top tier, but it's better than Arrowverse stuff. I mean,
some of the Arrow like season 3.
Yeah, I mean, like the beginning Arrowverse stuff, cool. It was good, but then you know, like I said, I stopped watching after Arrow season 4. Flash season 3, I was like, all right. But when I came to Superman and Lois, I was kind of like going, hey, they are taking. I mean, there's some stuff in there that you go, well, that was inspired by maybe a certain someone, you know. Yeah, I was like,
isn't Jeff Johns behind that show though?
Yes.
He's behind all.
The thing that proves that Snyder is before his time.
It always seems to be. I mean, even with Army of the Dead, I mean, it's like he's a fucking prophet when they're talking about temperature guns and shit like that.
They wanted him to do X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh my god, that would be so amazing.
He told him he didn't want to do it unless it could be rated R, and they passed up on it because.
And then what happened? Logan
comes out years later, and it's like
the best one. Yeah, I know. He totally is. Like, he knows where these characters. It's like he just taps into these characters and goes, "Okay, you can't do it like this. You can't water it down. If you're gonna do it, you got to do it like this."
Back on Sucker Punch, he said Oscar Isaac was going to be a star one day, and now look at
He's
Oscar.
a fucking star.
Yep, it's Poe Dameron.
Can you imagine we had a musical number with Carla Gugino and Oscar Isaac, directed by Zack Snyder, and it got cut from a movie?
And it's such a good sequence, too.
It's unreal.
I gotta go. Dave,
all right. Aaron, hey, thank you. Thank you for being part of the Patreon and stuff like that, man.
Happy birthday.
It, man. Happy birthday too, and congratulations on the engagement, man.
All right, appreciate it. Talk to you later, guys.
Take it easy, man. No, but I mean, it just shows you. I mean, that's how good he is with casting too, and it's funny too because even when you get to the Wayne T. Carr casting. And it's just kind of funny too, because I'm even going to bring up a conversation I even had with the man. It was the fact that when we were talking about that was the fact that he said, he was like, yeah, Wayne T. Carr, nobody knows who he is, obviously. And he goes like, but listen, when it came to, Ben Affleck was like the only, when you look at the initial cast of the Justice League before they were cast as these characters, Ben Affleck was the only one that was a name. Cavill was not a name. Momoa. Godot said she was going to quit. Momoa was like, he said he was like, he didn't know where his fucking career was going to go. I mean, he has created, and nobody knew who Ray Fisher was. Ezra Miller, same thing. And now all of a sudden, these people are like, they're known now because he just has an eye for that. So if the Wayne T. Carr thing, was full on in there, Wayne T. Carr, I mean, that's why I think now, Wayne joined Twitter and he's got all these followers now. He's getting more recognized. And it's almost like he just has a knack for like, hey, this person can do it. And all of a sudden they become a household name. I mean, he's just got that knack, and it just, man, it's crazy how he just has that. And, you know, because everybody was trying to guess who is his Green Lantern. Who is his Green Lantern? People were saying, like, you know, Trevante Rhodes and stuff like that. And people were naming off names. I mean, even though, like, after watching Army of the Dead, I'm like, man, Omri Hardwick would have been a great John Stewart. Holy shit.
John David Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with that, but I think that was just too much. Like, But I mean, Omri Hardwick. Oh man, I think he would be Amari. I said Amari Hardwick. I think he'd be. I just really love. I don't know. There's just something. He's got a presence about him that I think. Like, I mean, I don't know what's going on with the, you know, when it comes to the Green Lantern Corps and even the show. I mean, I know we're slowly getting that, but I mean, I just. That guy just has a presence about him, and I think he would be an excellent John Stewart. But if, you know, Justice League 2 happens, keep Wayne. Totally all about that. But man, I'm telling you what.
Well, he says he's a Shakespearean actor, so that alone means
That's the thing. I mean, once he like was talking about how like he, you know, he's in the circle with, you know, Ray, and he knows Harry Lennox and even Ray Porter, you know, it's just like, yeah. I mean, he just has he's not all about. I mean, that's another thing too, is Ray Porter. Can you imagine anybody else doing that Darkseid voice? No,
not particularly.
No, exactly. I mean, if we're gonna get more Darkseid, we want this guy right here.
You are watching the vodka stream.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's what you want, right? I mean, it's so good. I mean, like, look at what happened with the MCU and Thanos. I mean, obviously, when the first Avengers, they were teasing it, so it's just, you know, just somebody a stand-in, and they did the whole thing. But then they were going, okay, now we need to have somebody, and they did cast a notable actor. But when it comes to, you know, I think what Zach tries to do is just like, no, he just wants the right person for the job, you know, because even like we found out recently that Zach's second choice, I mean, obviously Brolin was also a choice for his Batman at one point too, but I'm not sure exactly what happened with that. But then when he approached Ben, and Ben was a little on the fence, he had that one guy, Matthias, I forgot what his name was, as another. But did anybody know who exactly? I mean, I've seen him in movies, but is he a notable app? No.
Nope.
It's just kind of funny. He went from Ben Affleck to somebody who, like, people would be like, who? You know? As a Batman.
Here's a question, Dave. Do you think that was one of the things that when Nolan picked Snyder, do you think that's one of the things he sort of noticed about him? Like with Watchmen, it's all unknown. So it's like, because Nolan kind of does a similar thing. You know, he oftentimes, he doesn't always go for the biggest names. He does sometimes like Leo DiCaprio or whatever, but like Christian Bale wasn't a name before Batman. People knew about him. People knew about Tom Hardy. You know, people, obviously, Heath Ledger was no one pictured Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Yeah. Michael Caine, was he really that big before him?
No,
they're
but
elevator directors.
But he was a notable.
Michael Caine was big.
Yeah, Michael Caine was pretty known though. But
but Nolan's approach with that was, you know, have the bigger names be the supporting cast. You know, whereas
kind of like Superman.
This is exactly what
Superman.
Man of Steel. That's exactly what happened. Like he had like Lawrence Fishburne as like you had Russell Crowe, Kurt Russell, Amy Adams, and Diane Lane.
And then all of a sudden it's like Henry Cavill? What's his name?
Cavill, Superman? Who?
Yeah. but that's the thing. It's like he's not looking for the name. He's looking for who do I feel can really, you know, embody this character, you know, and whether it's a name or not, I mean, most of the time it's not. Yeah. And when it came to, Ray's talked about it many times where Ray Porter was cast as that little cameo that he has, that you see him in there when the mother box is, you know, and he's right there with the gauntlets on. That was his initial role in the movie. And then it's just parlayed to like, oh, you do voice acting? Let's hear what this. Oh, okay. All right. I'm liking what you're doing there. And Zach was like, you're Darkseid. You know, I mean, it just shows you right there that he's always got his ears up. You know, he's like a dog who just like has his ears just constantly going, wait, how can I make this better? I don't care about egos or names or anything like that. I just want the best product.
It's interesting, like Kieran Hines, who's a Steppenwolf. He was like his biggest thing that I was aware of was that he played Julius Caesar in the HBO Throne series.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting.
He was in Game of Thrones too.
Yeah, he was in Game of Thrones.
But he came onto my radar as an actor playing Julius Caesar in that series.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zach appreciates, that those types of actors too, where, theater training, just very well spoken voice, it just, I think even Harry Lennox said that he thought he was just going to go back to teaching, and then he goes for the role of Swanwick, gets it. And now Harry Lennox is now, he's a name that you hear it, you go, oh yeah, Harry Lennox. You hear that voice when you hear Harry Lennox, because he's been in, multiple shows. He's done multiple things now. And it's just like, yeah, we all know who Harry Lennox is now, but yeah, it just shows you right there, man. He just knows, man. He just knows, that guy.
He just knows.
He's a good guy, yeah. But all right, guys, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. We've been talking for over 2 hours, and it's been a lot of fun, of course. And of course, Kerry just left. I see his drum set in the background. I know he plays drums. That's cool. But no, I appreciate you guys joining in tonight, of course. And this is, like I said, this is always a lot. And thank you. Sorry, I forgot to mention Aaron Bailey for becoming a new member. Appreciate that, sir. If you guys haven't followed him, he actually does a lot of fan art and stuff like that. He does pretty good stuff. So follow Mr. Aaron Bailey. If you'd
one of his pictures actually just got noticed by Dave Batista.
See? Oh, that's right. Yeah, the one where it's showing the food truck, right?
Right.
In another alternate timeline. And Dave Batista was like totally blown away by that.
Yeah.
I mean, how awesome is Dave Batista too? That guy is so. I actually watched a video with him today, just talking about his career and, going from, he had a pretty troubling, upcoming, like, I don't know if you guys know his like neighborhood he lived in, bad. I mean, he had a bad, he was a pretty tough upbringing that Dave Batista had. And then getting into wrestling, obviously that was great. But at the same time, he wanted to progress. And the fact that they wouldn't let him progress, apparently, like when it came to like WWE, I'm guessing, he was like kind of stuck. He was kind of stuck in, even though he wanted to progress. And then, of course, when it came to wrestling stars getting the roles, I mean, obviously you think Dwayne Johnson, but of course Dwayne was on a whole other level, but then John Cena was always getting the roles. Yeah. And it was almost like he was living in a shadow of like John Cena. He talks about that, but he has all the praise for John Cena. Like he doesn't talk shit about John Cena. He was just like, he kept on going, I just couldn't get to that point. And then he finally did get to that point. And, I'm loving the fact that Batista is getting recognized. I actually think he has more range than Dwayne Johnson, to be honest. I don't know about you guys.
You're not alone.
Yes.
He
as much as we love Dwayne Johnson, likable as shit, action star, yes, but at the same time, doesn't have the range. But what were you going to say, Doug? Sorry, Doug.
I'm saying he came up in this really awesome time at Ohio Valley Wrestling, which was like the minor leagues for WWE, and it was him and John Cena and Brock Lesnar. Like, I wish there was cameras around to like document that. And these guys are all major stars. Either film or WWE, Randy Orton, and all these guys were just booming, 15 years ago. I'd love to see that. It was kind of crazy.
And about like, about Batista's range as opposed to The Rock's range, like, has Dwayne Johnson ever like, cried on camera?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I think the range that Dwayne Johnson had, I mean, he's very likable. Let's face facts. I mean, he is very likable, but it maybe like has a little bit of comedic range. I mean, I think that's in the same, almost I think John Cena goes a little farther with the comedic range. Obviously, he's been in actual comedies where he's not, and we're going to see more of that, of course, with Peacemaker. But I think like what Batista really is trying to do is like, I want dramatic. I want something with a lot of like depth into the roles. And I think that's why he took up Army of the Dead. I mean, he passed it at first, but then he realized, oh wait, there's something more here. And when you watch it, it's like, yeah, good for you. I mean, he's shedding tears. He's fucking showing emotions.
Exactly.
And one of my favorite shots is like right after he has that nightmare of having to,
Oh yeah, you got the the teardrop and then the
Yeah.
gun dropping, that is beautiful. I love that when you actually see the teardrop hit the floor and then you see the gun hit the floor. I'm like, oh, that's a chef kiss right there. That was pretty good. I like that. Very good shot right there. But anyways, guys, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Appreciate it, guys. Eric, Doug, Philip, Carrie, and then of course Darren for dropping by. You guys are awesome. Like I said, you help the pirate ship keep going, and I always enjoy these conversations with these Patreon streams. And thank you everybody who tuned in. This was a great stream. Lot of stuff to go over. That's for damn sure. So much stuff to go over. And you know what? We just got to wrap it up by saying,
yeah, second Warner Brothers.
Yeah, of course, got to do that one. So, all right, guys, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks.